His name is Guin Fong. He is an ordinary transmigrator. He works as a jailer at the Great Flame Dynasty Demon Quelling Bureau. Today, he came to check on the demons imprisoned here, as usual. Unexpectedly, the demon imprisoned this time is a little corpse charmer. She pitifully begs Guin Fong to let her out, promising to do anything if she is released. Her voice seems to have a magical power, making Guin Fong irresistibly thirsty and parched. Fortunately, as a transmigrator, he has seen all kinds of seductive beings in his technologically advanced era. To him, the little corpse charmer is at most like an internet celebrity with a beauty filter. He can resist her charms. He also realizes that he has fallen under her spell. If he opens the cell, she will drain his blood. Many colleagues at the Demon Quelling Bureau have already died at the hands of this corpse demon. He does not wish to follow in their footsteps, so he immediately shouts, "Audacious demoness, I can tell you're not human at first glance. How dare you try such simple seduction tricks on me?" Saying this, he decisively turns to leave. Seeing Guin Fong walking away, the little corpse charmer decides to use her most powerful trick. She stands up from the ground, transforming into a charming and authoritative woman. In a commanding tone, she orders Guin Fong to open the door. Guin Fong finds it hard to resist her commanding voice. He hadn't expected the little corpse charmer to be so versatile. It seems a shame not to look back. As he hesitates, deciding whether to look back, the sound of a whip cracking suddenly breaks his resolve. The little corpse charmer, wearing black stockings and wielding a whip, asks Guin Fong if she looks beautiful. Faced with the temptation of the black stocking, Guin Fong is in a dilemma. He knows it's the demon's charm and he shouldn't look back, for looking back would mean falling into her trap, but not looking at the black stockings seems a waste. So, he convinces himself, what's the harm in just one look? This is the Demon Quelling Bureau after all. The Demon Quelling prison is full of protective formations and seals. As long as I don't open the cell door, I'll be safe, and there are heavily guarded soldiers outside. Even if something goes wrong, they can rescue me in time. It's okay. After all, in front of black stockings, nothing else matters. Black stockings are the eternal god. But just by looking back once, Guin Fong becomes deeply entranced and unable to extricate himself. He even voluntarily opens the cell door and walks in. Seeing the cell door open, the little corpse charmer stops pretending. She reveals her ferocious nature, pouncing towards Guin Fong, biting fiercely at his neck, but it's as if she bites into a stone, nearly shattering her teeth. At that moment, a system alert rings in Guin Fong's mind. Host detected to be under imminent attack by a demon. The system to get stronger when attacked by a demon is now activated. You have been attacked by a corpse charmer. Defense increased by 1. With the system alert sounding, Guin Fong regains consciousness. Wondering where the voice is coming from, he turns to see the little corpse charmer walking out of the cell. He screams in terror, "A ghost!" and scrambles towards the exit of the cell. But the little corpse charmer is not about to let him go that easily. With a leap, she lands right above him, then bites fiercely into his neck. Guin Fong instinctively feels doomed after being bitten by the little corpse charmer. But then, the familiar system alert sounds again. You have been attacked by a corpse charmer. Defense increased by 1. Hearing the system alert, Guin Fong smiles. The voice wasn't an illusion after all. There really is a system. He then asks what functions the system has. The system replies, this system strengthens the host when attacked by a demon. Its sole function is literal. Any demon cannot harm the host in the slightest, but will only make the host stronger. Seeing the system's response, Guin Fong bursts into laughter. With this system, he can now walk sideways in the demon quelling prison. However, before he can fully recover from his excitement, the little corpse charmer swoops at him again. This time, Guin Fong doesn't indulge her. He slaps her in retaliation and coldly says, "You almost scared me to death. Change back and give me back the young lady." Hearing this, the little corpse charmer is dumbfounded. Once she realizes what's happening, she gets furious. "Despicable human. How dare you disrespect me? See how I deal with you." Saying this, she lunges at Guin Fong again, grabbing his neck and slamming him hard onto the ground. System alert. Defense increased by 2. Seeing the alert, Guin Fong, lying on the ground, is delighted. It seems that the corpse charmer is now enraged. Provoking her could further increase his defense. Thinking this, Guin Fong decides to add fuel to the fire, taunting her with, "Didn't you eat? Put more effort into it." Enraged by his words, the little corpse charmer roars and enters a red-eyed berserk state, unleashing a frenzy of attacks on Guin Fong. Meanwhile, the system's alerts keep ringing in Guin Fong's ears, continuously increasing his defense. But after a while, Guin Fong starts feeling tired again, so he just lies down on the ground. Have the little corpse charmer hit harder. "I've been sitting too much these past few days. My back and waist are aching. This is a good time for a back massage. Don't be lazy. Put in all the effort you've got, or else I'll whip you." But as Guin Fong's defense increases, the damage inflicted by the little corpse charmer decreases. So does the contribution to his skill points. This displeases Guin Fong, so he slaps the little corpse charmer again, saying, "You're so useless." Then he lies down again, letting the little corpse charmer massage his legs. As a demon, the little corpse charmer has never been humiliated like this. She furiously hammers Guin Fong, but it's all in vain. Instead, she ends up increasing his defense points significantly. System alert. Congratulations. Host has reached reached the limit. Acquired talent, copper skin, iron bones. Hearing the system alert, Guin Fong sighs. It seems you're no longer useful. Change back into the black stockings lady, or I won't be polite. The little corpse charmer pauses for a moment, but before she can respond, Guin Fong coldly grabs her face, saying, why haven't you changed back yet? Don't my words carry any weight, since you're so disobedient? Don't blame me now. Saying this, he throws the little corpse charmer on the ground, ready to test his newly acquired copper skin, iron bone. He kicks her wildly, until the little corpse charmer, under Guin Fong's pressure, reluctantly changes back into the lady with black stocking. But Guin Fong is still not satisfied. Since you can't increase my defense anymore, dance for me. A cool one. The little corpse charmer stays silent for a while. Finally, she reluctantly performs. During the performance, Guin Fong even instructs her on a few poses. Hours later, exhausted, the little corpse charmer collapses on the ground, gasping for breath, while Guin Fong reluctantly leaves the cell. Before leaving, he instructs the little corpse charmer, remember the poses I taught you, practice them well. I'll come back to check next time. After instructing the little corpse charmer, Guin Fong prepares to explore other areas of the demon quelling prison. The demon quelling prison is divided into 3 layers. The first layer imprisons low-level demons and evil spirits. The second layer holds mid-level ones, accessible only to yellow-ranked demon exorcists and above. The third layer is for high-level demons, exclusive to mysterious rank and higher. Entry to the demon quelling prison requires a token, and only by becoming a yellow-ranked demon exorcist does one become official. Guin Fong, best, is a temp worker, so he can only wander around the first layer. But before he can open the next cell door, the guard outside informs him that it's time to change shifts. Guin Fong responded affirmatively, then happily went off to change his clothes. While changing, he casually asked the system if self-training is effective, aside from being attacked by demons. Unexpectedly, the system replied with an ellipsis, leaving him completely baffled. Nevertheless, relying on oneself is better than relying on others. Guin Fong decided to first visit the Scripture Vault Pavilion to look for a suitable cultivation technique for himself. After arriving at the Scripture Vault Pavilion, and after some selection, he found a book titled Iron Cloth Rope. Iron Cloth Rope, like copper skin, iron bones, strengthens muscles, bones, and skin. The two are incredibly compatible. Thus, Guin Fong decisively chose the Iron Cloth Rope. After a simple registration at the front desk, he eagerly rushed out, ready to test its effects in the training room. But he had only been training for a short while when he suddenly opened his eyes. He hadn't expected to progress in cultivating Iron Cloth Rope so quickly. What takes others decades of painstaking effort took him just one day to master. Now, having mastered Iron Cloth Rope, it also perfectly conceals his copper skin, iron bones talent. So, after completing his cultivation of Iron Cloth Rope, Guin Fong returned to the demon quelling prison for his shift. His colleague Zhang Zhang, seeing him, asked in shock, Guin Fong, why are you so proactive today? You usually arrive half an hour late. Guin Fong awkwardly smiled. Well, I've had a change of heart. I've decided to work hard to make up for the shifts you've covered for me these days. How about I come an hour early every day to take over? Hearing this, Zhang Zhang asked doubtfully, really? Meanwhile, he secretly wondered, did he take the wrong medicine today? However, after receiving Guin Fong's affirmative reply, Zhang Zhang immediately put on a smile, calling him a good brother, and even promised to treat Guin Fong to a drink sometime. After watching Zhang Zhang leave, Guin Fong turned back to the empty prison with a satisfied smile on his face. Whose card should I turn over today? Soon, he arrived at a cell plastered with talismans and chained up. The cell was filled with a weird and mysterious aura. Guin Fong instinctively reached out to touch it, but as soon as he opened the small window of the cell door, a bloodshot eyeball popped out. In the next second, Guin Fong found himself in a place filled with birdsong and flowers, with a couple frolicking nearby in the rising red sun. Suddenly, the red sun slowly opened, turning into a giant eyeball, causing Guin Fong to feel dizzy, as if he was in a sea of blood and mountains of bones. Surrounded by a road paved with countless skeletons, 100-meter-tall Cyclops appeared before him and stepped towards him. Guin Fong was sent flying by the tremendous impact of the foot. As the Cyclops reached out to grab him again, the system alert suddenly sounded. You have been attacked by an eye-demon. Soul strength increased by 10. Hearing the system alert, Guin Fong instantly snapped back to reality, realizing he had just been under an illusion. Then, a voice came from the cell. My despicable servant, obey my command. Open the cell door. Guin Fong was displeased to hear this voice, but he didn't react immediately. Instead, he wanted to see what kind of entity was imprisoned inside. So, he pretended to still be under control and opened the cell door, only to see a small winged eye demon. Just when the eye demon thought its illusion had succeeded, Guin Fong suddenly slammed the cell door shut, leaving the eye demon completely baffled. I haven't left yet. Open the door. Guin Fong looked calmly at the eye demon, then suddenly reached out, grabbing the eye demon's eye, and burst it. The eye demon screamed in pain from Guin Fong's poke, cowering in a corner, questioning how he broke its eye technique. However, Guin Fong replied, you're bleeding. Come, let me treat you. These words again infuriated the eye demon, who unleashed an illusion on Guin Fong. In the next moment, Guin Guin Fong re-entered the illusory world, where the eye-demon, transformed into a cyclops, sat on a throne, looking down on Guin Fong as if he were an ant. It then commanded, "Despicable human, kneel." With its command, countless eyes appeared around, a formidable pressure enveloping Guin Fong, almost compelling him to kneel. Just when he was about to give in, the system finally alerted. "You have been attacked by an eye-demon. Soul strength increased by 10. With the alert, Guin Fong's soul strength continually grew, soon breaking the limit, and he acquired pupil technique, illusory vision. After gaining the new skill, Guin Fong eagerly wanted to try it out. He gestured towards the eye-demon on the throne, and in the next second, reversed roles, taking the place on the throne. This turn of events completely dumbfounded the eye-demon. It never imagined Guin Fong would not only break its eye technique, but also take over it. Then, Guin Fong snapped his fingers and returned to the cell once again. He picked up the eye-demon and threw it out, then used 1,000 years of death as a warning. However, considering the eye-demon had provided him with a new skill, Guin Fong decided not to kill it, letting it rest for now, intending to return later. This statement scared the eye-demon lying on the ground. Coming back again? Subsequently, Guin Fong went to the scripture vault pavilion to research, learning that pupil technique, illusory vision, has two functions: controlling others and creating illusions. The caster can control the actions of the person under the spell, who will fall into an illusion created by the caster. The limitation of illusory vision is that eye contact is necessary, and the target's soul strength must not be higher than the caster's. Otherwise, the effect is greatly reduced or even nullified. The strength of illusory vision depends on the caster's ability, making it a skill that grows with the user. Guin Fong thinks that with his current soul strength, he should have no problem dealing with martial practitioners in the energy-gathering realm, but it might be difficult against those in the inner energy realm. The way of the warrior is divided into 5 major realms: energy-gathering realm, inner energy realm, true energy realm, fierce energy realm, and innate realm. The innate realm is also known as Grandmaster. These 5 realms correspond to the 5 demon exorcist ranks of the Demon Quelling Bureau: Apprentice Demon Exorcist, Yellow Rank Demon Exorcist, Mysterious Rank Demon Exorcist, Earth Rank Demon Exorcist, and Heaven Rank Demon Exorcist. Each major realm of the Way of the Warrior has 9 sub-realms, from 1 to 9, with 9 being the peak. One can only advance to the next realm after reaching the 9th level of their current realm. Even with his talent of copper skin, iron bones, and iron cloth robe, Guin Fong, who is at the 3rd level of the energy-gathering realm, would find it challenging to face an opponent in the inner energy realm, but he isn't disheartened, considering it's only been 2 days. The system has already made him invincible at his level. He wonders how strong he'll become if he continues for a few more days, or if he clears all 3 levels of the demon quelling prison. Suddenly, an elderly voice came from a neighboring cell. "Young man, come here." Guin Fong, surprised by the proactive demon, approached the cell and opened the small window to check inside, finding an old man with a withered face, who asked if he came for talisman materials. While Guin Fong wondered what talisman materials were, he saw the old man reach into his chest, tear off a piece of flesh, which then turned into tree bark, and handed it to him. This tree bark was an important material for making talismans. Thinking it was a gift from the old man, Guin Fong reached through the window into the cell, leaving the old man stunned at the prison guard's fearlessness. He actually dared to reach his hand into the cell of an imprisoned demon, and Guin Fong, seeing the old man not handing over the item, grew somewhat impatient. "Wasn't it a gift you were giving me? Are you giving it or not?" Hearing this, the old man revealed a cold smile and handed the tree bark to Guin Fong. Guin Fong, seeing that the old man handed him a piece of tree bark, was also a bit puzzled. Didn't the old man just mention something about talismans? Then he sniffed it and realized the bark smelled the same as the material used on the cell door for enchantments. He immediately understood what was going on. It seems this old man is actually a tree demon. His bark can be used to make talismans, and it looks like the Demon Quelling Bureau regularly harvests his bark. Guin Fong couldn't help but admire. The Demon Quelling Bureau really has good methods. This is like a renewable resource library, since the bark could be used to make valuable talismans. Guin Fong decided to keep it, but accepting favors makes it difficult to act freely, and it didn't seem quite right to use the old man for practice. Thinking this, Guin Fong decided to find someone else. Just then, the old man's voice came from the cell again. "Young man, are you in a hurry to report back? If not, would you mind chatting with an old man? I have been imprisoned in the demon quelling prison for 10 years, and haven't talked much with anyone in that time. My life is coming to an end. I just want to chat with someone before I die, to ease my mind." Hearing this, Guin Fong turned and said nonchalantly, "Sure, what do you want to talk about?" The old man, sitting in his chair, began to tell his story. 100 years ago, in Ji County, there was a small mountain village named Zhang Family Village. The villagers were simple and isolated from the world. There was a boy named Zhang Heng who accidentally planted a small locust tree. While telling this part, the old man was secretly pleased, planning to slowly coax Guin Fong into opening the door. Unexpectedly, the next second, Guin Fong abruptly opened the door, startling the old man. Pointing at Guin Fong, he asked in surprise, "Why did you come in? I'm a demon. Aren't you afraid I'll eat you?" Guin Fong casually found a swing to sit on and said indifferently, "I can tell you're a good demon. Besides, Besides, listening to stories through a door isn't the same. What happened to the locust tree? Hearing this, the old man was speechless, unsure what to do next. Should he continue with the story or attack directly? After much hesitation, he continued. The locust tree grew up and became a demon, and then it devoured all the people of Zhang family village. Having finished the story, the old man stopped pretending, transforming into his true tree demon form with a gnarled and fierce face. Guin Fong, not indulging him, punched him and sent him flying, then reprimanded. Can't you show some professionalism? Couldn't you have waited to attack after finishing the story? Hearing this, the tree demon's face twisted into a ferocious expression again. He leapt away from Guin Fong, summoning countless vines to attack. In an instant, Guin Fong was bound like a rice dumpling and suspended in midair. Then the system alerted. You have been attacked by the 100-year locust tree sprite. Strength increased by 5. With the system alert, Guin Fong felt himself getting stronger, so he said with a smile, "Please, put in more effort. I can handle a lot." This comment instantly infuriated the locust tree sprite, who then summoned more vines to wrap around Guin Fong's body, attempting to strangle him to death. As the force of the attack increased, the system alerted again. You have been attacked by the 100-year locust tree sprite. Strength increased by 5. With his strength continuously increasing, the system notified. Congratulations to the host for breaking the strength limit, acquiring the strength of 9 bulls and 2 tigers. As the system alert ended, the vines wrapping Guin Fong began to crackle. The next second, Guin Fong tore through the vines and stepped out, advancing towards the locust tree sprite. The locust tree sprite, startled, yelled, "Don't come any closer." But Guin Fong just sneered. "Shout all you want. Nobody will come to save you. Feel the fear, my dear old treasure." Moments later, the badly beaten locust tree sprite obediently gave Guin Fong a back massage, and while massaging, continued the story he hadn't finished. "It turns out I am that locust tree, the place where I was planted. Right beneath it was a wooden spirit weapon. Because of the constant nourishment from that spirit weapon, I was able to transform. Spirit weapons are powerful weapons with spiritual essence, divided into 4 grades: heaven, earth, mysterious, and yellow, corresponding to the 4 ranks of demon exorcists. That spirit weapon was known as the Wood King Sword. 100 years ago, it was an upper-grade earth-level spirit weapon, but it seems to have been damaged, losing its spirit over the century, now downgraded to a lower-grade mysterious level." Hearing this, Guin Fong became interested, and immediately asked the locust tree sprite where he hid the Wood King Sword. The locust tree sprite revealed, "When the demon exorcists came to capture me, knowing I couldn't defeat them, I hid the Wood King Sword in an extremely concealed place. This place is known only to me." At this point, Guin Fong had lost his patience. He grabbed the locust tree sprite by the head and demanded the main point. The locust tree sprite, startled by his action, quickly revealed that the Wood King Sword was hidden under the ground of Mountain God Temple, behind Zhang family village in Ji County. After learning the location of the spirit weapon, Guin Fong turned to leave the cell, but couldn't help complaining. "This locust tree sprite talks too much, wasting so much time. It's almost dawn now. There's probably not enough time for another cell before my shift ends." So, he decided to visit the little corpse charmer to see how well she had learned the poses. Arriving at little corpse charmer's cell, Guin Fong skillfully unlocked the door and saw the eagerly awaited little corpse charmer. He asked her to switch to an authoritative lady and dress up in a courtesan's attire. The little corpse charmer shyly agreed, then transformed into the black stockings lady as per Guin Fong's request. Guin Fong applauded enthusiastically, but felt something was missing. Thinking this, he brought the demon to create a more robust scene, setting up an illusory campus romance drama and an emperor's harem struggle play. But just when he was having fun, the illusion suddenly broke, leaving Guin Fong displeased. He asked the demon why he abruptly dispelled the illusion. The demon, frightened, quickly explained, "Big brother, it's time for your shift change." Guin Fong yawned, resignedly saying, "All right then, good times always seem to pass quickly." He then got dressed and went to change shifts with Zhang Zheng. Seeing Zhang Zheng humming a tune as he walked, Guin Fong guessed he must have encountered something good. After some inquiry, he learned that a few days ago, a team led by mysterious ranked demon exorcist Master Yang went to the Bone Forest for a demon hunting mission, but was completely annihilated. Their Phoenix Tree County Demon Quelling Bureau branch always had a full roster, but now 4 yellow ranked demon exorcists and mysterious ranked demon exorcists had perished, leaving several vacancies. 4 apprentices at the inner energy realm were promoted to yellow ranked demon exorcists on the spot. Another yellow ranked demon exorcist has been promoted to fill Lord Yang's position. So now, there was 1 remaining spot for yellow ranked demon exorcist, but all the inner energy realm demon exorcists had already been promoted. Thus, according to tradition, the vacancy would be filled by selecting a capable person through a martial arts competition. The competition was scheduled in 3 days, and when he passed by earlier, many were already signing up, looking quite lively. Hearing this, Guin Fong showed interest and smilingly asked Zhang Zheng, "Is this competition only open to apprentice demon exorcists at energy gathering 9th level?" Zhang Zheng thought for a moment. There's no such restriction. Even many at the 8th level of energy gathering have signed up. Hearing this, Guin Fong secretly rejoiced. Great, there are still 3 days left. If I can advance to a yellow ranked demon exorcist, I'll have have the privilege to freely enter the second layer of the demon-quelling prison. Once there, I can encounter more demons, and with the system's help, becoming stronger will be as easy as eating and drinking. This is truly a rare opportunity. However, Zhang Zheng thought that those below energy gathering 9th level signing up were just dreaming, as surpassing one's level isn't easy. He believed the final winner would definitely be among those at the 9th level, and it would be better to work steadily and earnestly. So, he advised Guin Fong to go home and rest early. But Guin Fong still inquired about the registration location, determined to vie for the position of a yellow-ranked demon exorcist. Although the system only works against demons, martial practitioners could still kill him, and winning the competition requires standing out, which doesn't align with his low-profile nature. But with the abilities gained through the system in the past 2 days, he felt any one of them would be enough to overpower those at energy gathering 9th level, and he had 4 such abilities. The limit of energy gathering 9th level is 9,000 pounds of strength, but he possesses 25,000 pounds, so he wouldn't lose. Meanwhile, at the Righteous Energy Hall, it was already bustling with people. Those who came to register were mostly masters at energy gathering 9th level, but at that moment, a young man with white hair stepped out from the crowd and slowly said, "Apprentice Demon Exorcist Yi Xian of the 12th Squad, registering cultivation level, energy gathering 7th level." This statement immediately drew ridicule from the crowd. I must have heard wrong. An apprentice at just the 7th level dares to join the competition? Is this kid still dreaming? Another delusional fool. I, at the 8th level, don't even dare to register. He's really overestimating himself. In the face of ridicule, Yi Xian coldly responded, "A bunch of frogs in a well. If victory is solely determined by cultivation level, then what's the point of competing? Just showcase your cultivation levels. You lack the courage to challenge yourself, yet you dare to mock others." Hearing this, one of the mockers immediately retorted, "I call it being self-aware, not like some who are blissfully ignorant." Suddenly, a hand extended from the back of the crowd. "What Brother Yi said is correct. I wholeheartedly agree. Brother Ye's courage is admirable. It inspires me deeply. I was hesitant to register because of my low cultivation level, but now, with Brother Yi setting an example, I too will join in the excitement." With Gu Qingfeng's support, Yi Xian felt even more confident and righteously said, "Brother, your righteous speech is commendable. Your courage is praiseworthy. What does it matter if our cultivation levels are low? As cultivators, we must have a heart that dares to face challenges and not fear powerful enemies. If today we see an enemy with higher cultivation and do not draw our swords, and tomorrow the same, there will always be someone with higher cultivation in this world. Does that mean we never dare to draw our swords for a lifetime?" After Yi Xian's impassioned speech, the people around were also greatly inspired, expressing their desire to register. But when Yi Xian said, "If I join forces with you, even with our mere 7th level of energy gathering, we can surely make a difference," Gu Qingfeng felt a bit embarrassed, admitting that he was only at the 3rd level of energy gathering. Hearing this, Yi Xian's face immediately turned black with disbelief, and the crowd looked at Gu Qingfeng incredulously, challenging 6 levels above. "If you want to die, there are other ways. There's no need to humiliate yourself." But Gu Qingfeng didn't mind, asserting that he wouldn't have signed up if he wasn't somewhat confident. He then placed his token on the table, announcing his name, Gu Qingfeng, cultivation, energy gathering 3rd level, position, prison guard of the demon-quelling prison. That evening, Gu Qingfeng found a fast horse, left the demon-quelling bureau, and headed straight for Zhang family village. With a few days left before the competition, he decided to find a suitable weapon, and the Wood King sword mentioned by the Locust Tree Sprite was the best choice. According to the Locust Tree Sprite, the Wood King sword was located under the old locust tree in the courtyard of Mountain God Temple, behind Zhang family village, buried 3 feet deep. Sure enough, as soon as Gu Qingfeng pushed open the courtyard gate, he saw a prominently large locust tree, which looked like it might become another Locust Tree Sprite in a few years. But that was of no concern to Gu Qingfeng. His goal was the Wood King sword. He took out the tools he had prepared and started digging on the spot, soon uncovering a deep pit several meters deep. Suddenly, with a clang, an ancient wooden box buried in the earth appeared before Gu Qingfeng. To his surprise, upon opening it, there was only an ordinary-looking wooden sword. Gu Qingfeng even wondered if it was a homemade sword by the Locust Tree Spirit. With a trancy attitude, he swung it at a nearby shovel, only to hear a snap. The shovel was unscathed, but the sword broke. Looking at the intact shovel, Gu Qingfeng was dumbfounded and mentally cursed the Locust Tree Sprite's ancestors. But then, something miraculous happened. The wooden sword, initially broken into 2 pieces, somehow restored itself, and the broken blade segment, as if alive, burrowed into the ground. Immediately, countless vines sprang from the earth, attacking towards Gu Qingfeng. Instinctively, he raised the sword to block, only to find that the vine's target seemed not to be him, but the Wood King sword in his hands. Suddenly, countless streams of spiritual energy converged on the Wood King sword. With a casual swing, Gu Qingfeng unleashed numerous sword energies, piercing through the old locust tree in front of him with a single strike. Seeing this, Gu Qingfeng was instantly delighted, realizing this was the correct way to use the Wood King sword. According to the Locust Tree Sprite, blood could bind the sword to its owner. However, when Gu Qingfeng was about to cut his finger to do so, he found that his hand was unharmed, but the Wood king's sword had lost a large chunk, frustrating him to the point of near madness. He began swinging it randomly, and after a while, a tired Guin Fong started to calmly think about how to properly bind the sword. At that moment, vines began to grow from the Wood King's sword at his feet, instantly shooting towards Guin Fong and burrowing into his body, without giving him any time to react. It seemed the sword was starting the binding process. So, Guin Fong let the Wood King's sword absorb his blood. What he didn't know was that spirit weapons cannot be bound by just anyone. The owner of a spirit weapon needs corresponding strength to control it, or they might be drained to death during the binding process. This became apparent soon after. When Guin Fong opened his eyes again, he found the Wood King's sword was still absorbing his blood. Realizing something was wrong, he gathered strength in his left hand, threatening the Wood King's sword on his right hand. "Stop now, or I'll bury you again." Upon hearing this, the Wood King's sword seemingly understood and truly retracted its blood-sucking vines, returning to its original form. But by then, Guin Fong was already drenched in cold sweat, muttering to himself about its sinister nature. What he didn't know was that normally, at least a martial practitioner at the inner energy realm is needed to control a spirit weapon, and they must be able to sustain the weapon's absorption. With only an energy-gathering realm cultivation, he could only sustain the spirit weapon by feeding it with blood. If not for his extraordinary physique, he would have been a dried corpse by now. After successfully binding the Wood King's sword, Guin Fong saw its current status through the system. Wood King's sword, an upper-grade earth-level spirit weapon, currently a lower-grade spirit weapon due to lack of proper care and being drained by a demon. If the owner takes good care of it, it can be restored to an upper-grade spirit weapon. Special ability, regeneration after being broken. After reading the system's description, Guin Fong was quite satisfied with the Wood King's sword, thinking to himself that the locust tree sprite indeed didn't deceive him, and the Wood King's sword was indeed powerful. As a reward, he thought he would grant the locust tree sprite its release when he had time, as being imprisoned in the demon-quelling prison was also a form of suffering. It would be better to use it as nourishment for the Wood King's sword. Just then, a light rain began to fall from the sky. Guin Fong muttered to himself about the bad luck. He hurriedly pushed open the dilapidated temple door and entered. Upon entering, what caught his eye was a headless mountain deity statue. According to the records in the demon-quelling handbook, the mountain deity is worshipped by the masses, gathering the will of living beings, and possesses certain abilities to ward off evil and disasters. Thus, a shattered mountain deity statue signifies the presence of a powerful demon that disregards the deity's power, indicating great danger and caution. But Guin Fong wasn't afraid of this. With the system that strengthens him when attacked by demons, he was actually hoping for a powerful demon to come his way, so he could enhance his abilities further. Therefore, he lit a bonfire inside the mountain god temple and began eating a baked flatbread. However, just then, footsteps were heard outside the temple. Guin Fong's heart leaped with excitement, thinking a demon had arrived so soon, but he was somewhat disappointed when the temple door opened, as it turned out to be a beautiful young lady wearing a veil, accompanied by several guards. Apparently, she was a rich young mistress. After sitting down, the young lady shyly greeted Guin Fong, which endeared her to him. But at that moment, a bald butler disdainfully tossed 2 silver taels, suggesting, "The mountain god temple is too cramped. Take this money and find another place, kid." Guin Fong, feeling insulted by being offered money to leave, especially since he had found the place first, retorted, "Who do you think you are to tell me to leave?" Then he boldly demanded, "Not enough. Raise the price. 24 taels." Hearing this, the bald butler's expression darkened, revealing his true energy realm cultivation and threatening. "Don't be too greedy, kid." Seeing that the other party was actually at the true energy realm, Guin Fong also felt intimidated. After all, he could have taken a chance if the opponent was merely at the inner energy realm, but facing someone at the true energy realm was a different matter. It's better to be prudent in such situations. But then, the young lady stepped forward, speaking up for him. "It's only fair since he was here first. How could we possibly let him leave? Our family acts rashly. Please, young master, don't take offense." However, Guin Fong, fixated on the money, said, "It's fine, but are you sure you don't want to reconsider the 24 taels? Even 20 taels are negotiable." The young lady smiled sweetly. "Please, no more jokes, sir. It's nighttime now, raining heavily outside, and there may be demons lurking. It's best if you stay with us in the temple." Hearing this, Guin Fong could only thank her for the kindness, while internally scoffing. What's there to fear about demons? If I had known, I wouldn't have been so pretentious earlier. 2 taels of silver are better than none. Subsequently, the young lady, as a gesture of apology, handed Guin Fong a chicken leg. This act caught the attention of the guards and the butler nearby, who clenched their teeth in irritation. Their food supplies were already limited, and the young lady was giving some to a stranger. Observing the intense gazes of everyone around him, Guin Fong also broke into a cold sweat, quickly expressing his gratitude, saying, "The lady is beautiful and kind-hearted. I will remember this favor. By the way, may I know the lady's name?" The young lady, blushing, shyly revealed her name as Si Wei. However, just as the two were enjoying their conversation, screams suddenly echoed from outside the door. The bald butler signaled everyone to be quiet, ordered the remaining guards to ensure the young lady's safety, and then proceeded outside with a sword in hand. To his shock, he discovered that all the guards outside had been killed, with no signs of struggle, indicating that they were instantly slain. Realizing that this was the work of a master, the butler cautiously looked around. At that moment, a long-haired man appeared on the rooftop. It turned out to be the white bone sage from the blood demon sect, who had come to capture Siwei. Inside the temple, Siwei, hearing that she was the target, was startled and confused. She had no idea what the blood demon sect was, or who this white bone sage might be. One of the guards explained, "Miss, the blood demon sect is a sect of martial practitioners who worship demons. These people are insane. In pursuit of immense power and longevity, they consume humans and attempt to transform themselves into demons. Their members are neither fully human nor demon. White bone sage is one of their experts, a practitioner at the fierce energy realm, and also a successor of the corpse refining lineage." Siwei was frightened upon hearing that they ate humans, and almost collapsed backward, but Gu Qingfeng quickly caught her by the waist, preventing her from falling. Blushing in Gu Qingfeng's arms, Siwei quickly changed the subject, asking why the blood demon sect would target her. The guard explained, "Sir C became the county protector of Phoenix Tree County after uncovering a major case involving the blood demon sect not long ago. The blood demon sect capturing Miss C is likely an act of revenge against Sir C." Hearing this, Gu Qingfeng realized that Siwei was the daughter of the head of Phoenix Tree County, but that wasn't his main concern. He needed to know whether the people from the blood demon sect were humans or demons. So, he asked the guard at the door, "Dealing with demons and ghosts is my specialty. So, I need to confirm if the members of the blood demon sect are humans or demons. I am an apprentice demon exorcist from the Phoenix Tree County Demon Quelling Bureau." Hearing Gu Qingfeng's confident words, Siwei seemed to see a ray of hope. "Thank goodness, young Master Gu. I didn't expect you to be from the Demon Quelling Bureau. I've heard that demon exorcists from the Bureau are the best at eliminating demons and evil spirits. You must have a way to deal with white bone sage outside, right?" However, the guards standing by couldn't help but laugh. "Miss, he's just an apprentice demon exorcist, the lowest rank, and his cultivation is only at the energy gathering realm. What can he possibly do?" Hearing this, Siwei didn't blame Gu Qingfeng, but instead advised him to stay with them inside, rather than going out. "Yeah," Gu Qingfeng insisted. "Don't worry about it. I just want to know if white bone sage is a human or a demon." One of the guards answered, "They are half human, half demon, having transplanted demon organs." Upon receiving this information, Gu Qingfeng immediately asked the system, "Can this kind of half-demon harm me?" The system quickly replied, "It's a system that strengthens you when attacked by demons, not by half-demons." Hearing this response, Gu Qingfeng was dumbstruck, realizing that if the guards couldn't withstand white bone sage, he could be in danger too. He regretted speaking so confidently earlier. Just then, the temple door was suddenly pushed open by a gust of demonic wind, and countless zombies refined by white bone sage poured in. Due to the overwhelming number of zombies, one of the guards burned his life force to cast a secret technique, temporarily repelling the horde, allowing another guard time to set up a barrier. But unexpectedly, a copper-armored corpse from the horde managed to get behind Gu Qingfeng and the others, attacking Siwei. In a critical moment, the guard who burned his life force struck with full strength, severing the copper-armored corpse's arm. The barrier was finally activated, but the guard began to fade away, his life force depleted. However, he had no regrets, as long as the young mistress was safe. Meanwhile, outside the temple, the bald butler was still fiercely battling white bone sage, but seeing the horde entering the temple, he couldn't help but be distracted. Knowing that prolonging the fight was disadvantageous, he decided to end it quickly, unleashing his exploding clothes technique, his muscles swelling instantly. The next second, with a fierce glint in his eyes, he swung his fist, large as a sandbag, towards white bone sage's face. Yet, white bone sage, hit by the punch, just sneered, standing still, channeling his fierce energy, and managed to repel the bald butler with just the energy surrounding his body. The butler was sent flying like a plow through the ground for several meters, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Incredibly looking at white bone sage, "You've turned yourself into a silver-armored corpse." White bone sage cackled strangely. "This is the power of a zombie. What a perfect creature, impervious to weapons, immensely strong, and only needing fresh blood to exist indefinitely." Saying this, white bone sage walked straight towards the mountain god temple. While inside, Gu Qingfeng, hearing this conversation, immediately grasped the key point. The opponent has turned himself into a silver-armored corpse. This is exactly my area of expertise, right? Gu Qingfeng thought. He quickly asked the system, "Zombies fall under the category of demons and ghosts, right?" Receiving an affirmative response from the system, Gu Qingfeng felt assured. "Today seems to be the day for me to show my true capabilities." He then stepped out of the protective barrier, directly facing the horde of zombies. In an instant, all the zombies pounced towards him, causing even his Wood King sword to fall to the ground with a clang. Seeing this, Siwei couldn't help but shed tears, thinking Gu Qingfeng was trying to attract the zombies to buy them time to escape. Even the nearby guard couldn't help but express his admiration. "Young Master Gu, I misjudged you earlier. Your kindness is unforgettable." But in reality, Gu Qingfeng was fine. In fact, due to the zombies' attack, his defense points kept increasing. He even rolled out of the temple, wrapped in a ball of zombies. At this moment, the system alerted, "Host's defense has has broken the upper limit. Copper skin, iron bones has evolved into Vajra body. With the system's notification, Guin Fong simply spread his arms and repelled the surrounding zombies, appearing in front of White Bone Sage like a god descending from the heavens. Seeing Guin Fong, the bald butler was surprised. He knew someone at the energy gathering 3rd level couldn't achieve this. To deceive him with such a disguise, Guin Fong must possess a secret technique or be above his fierce energy realm cultivation. After the rain stopped, Guin Fong finally spoke slowly. I am just an ordinary traveler. On my journey, I was kindly treated with roasted meat by Miss Siwei. As a return gift, I have come to invite you to your death. Would you prefer to take your own life? It would save me some trouble. His words silenced the entire scene, and White Bone Sage was utterly enraged. What are you showing off, brat? Asking me to commit suicide? I am the chief protector of the Blood Demon sect, the first person under the innate grandmasters. Even if you're ignorant, there's a limit. Saying this, he stomped forward and punched heavily on Guin Feng's head. After delivering the punch, White Bone Sage felt assured. In his entire career, no one had ever withstood his full strength strike without defense. But then, an impatient voice came from behind. Are you done? Seeing Guin Fong unharmed, White Bone Sage was completely dumbfounded. His decades of hard training, and even willingly becoming a demon for power, seemed futile. He couldn't believe he couldn't even harm Guin Feng's skin. Incredulous, he asked who Guin Fong really was. Guin Fong simply replied indifferently, my name is Guin Fong, an apprentice demon exorcist from the Phoenix Tree County Demon Quelling Bureau. Hearing this, Siwei quietly asked the guard in the temple, didn't you say that apprentice demon exorcists are weak? The guard replied in a low voice, how can this strength possibly belong to an apprentice demon exorcist? He is clearly a heaven-ranked demon exorcist. Meanwhile, White Bone Sage felt that Guin Fong was joking with him, guessing that he must be an old monster with a youthful appearance and the ability to preserve his looks. Undoubtedly a grandmaster. He must be one of the top masters among the grandmasters. But no matter how powerful a grandmaster is, White Bone Sage was determined to destroy him. Thinking this, White Bone Sage launched an even more ferocious attack on Guin Fong, who still stood unmoved, taking all the hits. Meanwhile, the system notified, you have been attacked by White Bone Sage. Defense increased by 100, 100, 100. After the smoke cleared, White Bone Sage wore a triumphant smile, feeling confident. But behind him, Guin Feng's lazy voice was heard again. Go ahead, use whatever moves you have. Startled, White Bone Sage clenched his teeth and began to gather strength. You forced me. Guin Fong replied indifferently. Good, I hope you can make it more enjoyable for me. Soon after, White Bone Sage summoned a White Bone Wraith Fire and directed it towards Guin Fong. Seeing Guin Fong daring to take on his White Bone Wraith Fire, White Bone Sage let out a cackling laugh, marveling at such arrogance. Who in the world would face White Bone Wraith Fire without dodging? No matter how high your cultivation or how strong your body is, my White Bone Wraith Fire, cultivated from the bones of 10,000 people and hundreds of fierce energy realm demons over decades, corrupts both flesh and soul. Even if you are a grandmaster, you will not leave here alive today. However, from the midst of the White Bone Wraith Fire, that familiar voice came again. It's quite warm. White Bone Sage was stunned and quickly distanced himself from Guin Fong, now engulfed in flames. The system then alerted, you have been attacked by White Bone Wraith Fire. Fire attribute increased by 100, 100, 100. Congratulations, you have gained the talent ability Fire Control. As the White Bone Wraith Fire gradually dissipated, the system notified again, you have been attacked by White Bone Wraith Fire. Fire attribute increased by 100, 100, 100. Congratulations, your talent ability Fire Control has evolved into Fire Mastery. After hearing the system's notifications, Guin Fong once again addressed White Bone Sage. Do you have anything else? Upon hearing this, White Bone Sage was completely dumbfounded, exclaiming, impossible. Nobody survives after being hit by White Bone Wraith Fire. Moreover, he now found himself unable to summon his White Bone Wraith Fire, as if it had been stripped away from him. Realizing this, White Bone Sage stepped back and tried again, but to no avail. The White Bone Sage couldn't believe it. The White Bone Wraith Fire he had painstakingly cultivated for decades had just been taken away by someone. He shouted, demanding Guin Fong to return it to him. Guin Fong responded, indicating that he was reasonable and willing to return it if that's what White Bone Sage wanted. He then threw the White Bone Wraith Fire back at White Bone Sage. Following a loud explosion, White Bone Sage vanished in a sea of flames, with a red pillar of fire shooting up into the sky. The strong gust even swept the bald butler away, causing him to spin in the air twice before slowly descending. Seeing that it was about time, Guin Fong used his Fire Mastery talent to absorb the White Bone Wraith Fire back into his stomach, which unfortunately caused the bald butler to be blown away once again. Afterward, looking at the ashes of White Bone Sage, Guin Fong felt a sense of loss. The opponent was a peak fierce energy realm expert, likely possessing numerous treasures, spirit weapons, elixirs, secret manuals, gold, and silver in his storage ring, all of which had been burned away. However, to thank him for saving their lives, the bald butler gave Guin Fong a county protector's token, suggesting that he could show it in Phoenix Tree County to resolve minor issues as people would still respect the old master's influence. Guin Fong accepted the token with a smile, saying he would honor their wishes. At this moment, the guard who had previously mocked Guin Fong suddenly knelt down, apologizing for his earlier disrespect and expressing gratitude for Guin Fong saving their lives. Feeling deeply ashamed, Guin Fong smiled slightly, agreeing that a punishment was indeed due. Wei was about to intervene but was stopped by the bald butler, who warned that offending a grandmaster for a guard was not worth it. Unexpectedly, Guin Fong declared the punishment to be 24 taels, bringing a smile back to Wei's face. The guard quickly kowed out in gratitude, saying he was willing to pay even 240 taels. Hearing the offer of more money, Guin Feng's eyes lit up. However, before the guard could finish, the bald butler interrupted, chiding him for his foolishness, reminding him of Guin Feng's status and that he should not insult a grandmaster with money. The guard then realized his mistake, understanding that a grandmaster like Guin Fong would not be interested in his silver. He promptly kowed out again and presented 24 taels of silver. Guin Fong felt helpless at this, lamenting internally that it could have been 240 taels, equivalent to 10 years of his salary. "I'm interested in it. Why did you stop him?" He still accepted the 24 taels of silver. Then he turned around and said, "Let's consider this matter settled. You can stand up now." Seeing this, the bald butler couldn't help but admire. Truly a grandmaster level expert, so magnanimous. Young Master Gu's character is indeed worth learning from. After this, the barbecue continued. Guin Fong chatted with Wei while eating a chicken leg, pondering to himself, the world is so pragmatic. Before and after this incident, their attitudes towards me were completely opposite. If I weren't a powerful person, I might have died here today. He then checked the two talents he had just acquired, Vidra Body and Fire Mastery. As the name implies, Vidra Body has stronger defense than Copper Skin, Iron Bones, capable of defending against attacks up to the Fierce Energy realm. The specific data would need to be tested in actual combat. The value of the Fire Mastery talent is not weaker than Vidra Body. It allows one to control countless fires, similar to the Flame Emperor, commanding and controlling flames, and even seizing control of the enemy's flames. It's the nemesis of fire attribute martial practitioners, or demons. Shocked by the strength of these talents, Guin Fong felt that his gains, including the White Bone Wraith Fire provided by White Bone Sage, were quite substantial. 2 days later, Guin Fong and Wei returned to Phoenix Tree County. Guin Fong formally bid them farewell and headed to the Demon Quelling Bureau to participate in the martial arts competition. The Demon Quelling Bureau's arena was already crowded with spectators. In front of the stage sat the 5 judges of the competition. With the sound of gongs, the first match officially began, with Yi Xian at the 7th level of energy gathering facing Yi at the 9th level. Unfortunately, although Yi Xian had the heart to challenge beyond his level, he lacked the protagonist's destiny and was defeated in less than 3 moves due to the significant difference in strength. This scene was witnessed by Guin Fong, who hurried to help Yi Xian. Yi Xian tried to persuade Guin Fong to give up, realizing the difficulty of surpassing one's level from his defeat. He had been beaten in 3 moves at the 7th level, and Guin Fong was only at the 3rd level, likely to lose even more miserably. But Guin Fong insisted, "A gentleman's word is his bond. How can I go back on my word?" This made Yi Xian feel even more guilty, thinking he had led Guin Fong into trouble. Then the gong sounded again for the second match, featuring Guin Fong at the 3rd level of energy gathering against Lin Xiao at the 9th level. Seeing that Guin Fong was indeed only at the 3rd level, Lin Xiao felt confident, thinking it was like giving away points. He arrogantly asked Guin Fong to show his weapon. However, Guin Fong was puzzled to see a sword hanging on Lin Xiao's waist. "Aren't you going to use a weapon?" Lin Xiao stood confidently with his hands behind his back, smiling. "I don't need a sword to deal with you." Guin Fong, however, wanted to make things clear. "That won't do. If you're unarmed and I win using a weapon, you'll surely say that I won unfairly." Lin Xiao scoffed. "Use any weapon you like. If you can even make me move a step, I'll concede defeat and will not accuse you of winning unfairly." Since Lin Xiao insisted, Guin Fong didn't hesitate. He drew out his Wood King sword and began to introduce it loudly. This sword is 3 feet and 3 inches long, 1 8/10 of an inch wide. It weighs about 8 ounces. It is entirely made of wood, crafted from the heart of a 1,000-year-old Emperor Willow from the extreme north, taking 18 years to forge. It is named the Wood King Sword, a lower-grade mysterious rank spirit weapon. Please appreciate its quality, brother. This announcement instantly caused laughter among the audience. This guy is really something. A broken wooden sword, and he calls it a mysterious rank lower-grade spirit weapon. No wonder this kid, at the 3rd level of energy gathering, dared to participate in the competition. He must be crazy. Unfazed, Guin Fong continued, "Brother, I'm using a mysterious rank spirit weapon. You won't say I won unfairly, right?" Lin Xiao, quite speechless, responded, "No, I won't." Then Guin Fong, without any courtesy, thrust his sword at Lin Xiao, who easily caught it, mocking, "Kids play with wooden swords. Stop your foolish act." Saying so, he broke the Wood King sword in his hand. However, Guin Fong remained expressionless, silently watching. The next second, a cut appeared on Lin Xiao's hand, causing agonizing pain that made him involuntarily let go. The broken piece of the Wood King's sword began emitting blue light, and in an instant, numerous vines sprouted from under his feet, binding the unsuspecting Lin Xiao tightly. Only then did he realize that everything Guin Fong had said was true, and the sword was indeed a mysterious rank spirit weapon. He understood too late that he was the fool, but it was already too late. Facing such a mysterious rank spirit weapon, there was no way he, at the 9th level of energy gathering, could break free. No matter how much he struggled, the vines only tightened further, strangling Lin Xiao until he vomited blood. Only then did Guin Fong stop and say, "Thank you for conceding." But at this moment, Lin Xiao, with red eyes, accused, "Guin Fong, you won unfairly." Guin Fong simply smiled slightly. "Brother, it was you who allowed me to use the mysterious rank spirit weapon. How can you say that I won unfairly? You're farting nonsense. Who the hell would know a wooden sword is a mysterious rank spirit weapon?" Lin Xiao protested. "But I clearly introduced the Wood King sword in detail before the match and told you it was a mysterious rank spirit weapon. Everyone here heard it. You can't go back on your word now." Still, Lin Xiao refused to accept defeat, challenging Guin Fong to another match without using a spirit weapon. Guin Fong, not being foolish, continued to brandish the Wood King sword while asking the judges for a verdict. "The rules of the competition don't prohibit the use of spirit weapons, right?" Hearing this, one of the judges, a woman with an eye patch, couldn't help but laugh out loud. "I like this kid. Right, He Fenghua." The main judge nodded. "Indeed, there's no such rule." Thus, the result of the match was clear. Guin Fong was declared the winner. After helping Lin Xiao to free himself from the vines, Lin Xiao asked for another rematch. However, He Fenghua stood up, banging the table and scolded, "Enough, Lin Xiao. A loss is a loss. Step down now." Lin Xiao had no choice but to comply and reluctantly left the stage. But as soon as Guin Fong walked out of the arena, He Fenghua called him back, offering to buy his spirit weapon for 2,000 taels of gold. Guin Fong, knowing better, refused, citing that the Wood King sword was a family heirloom and invaluable. He Fenghua's expression changed, about to make things difficult for Guin Fong when a cheerful female voice called out, "He Fenghua, there you are. I've already dealt with that guy who challenged someone to a private duel. What's his name? Lin something? The Demon Quelling Bureau strictly forbids attacks on colleagues. I didn't expect him not to understand. The final duel is starting. Let's hurry back." He Fenghua, having no choice, pretended to be nonchalant and left with the woman, but inside, he was already scheming how to make Guin Fong hand over the spirit weapon. Soon after, Guin Fong returned to his room to begin cultivating. Although he had the system shortly after transmigrating and never really practiced cultivation, he realized that improving his realm could save him a lot of trouble, as people here greatly valued cultivation levels. Moreover, a higher realm could also extend his lifespan. With these thoughts, Guin Fong started practicing. The technique he cultivated was called the Pure Bright Technique, a fundamental practice method of the Demon Quelling Bureau. All demon exorcists typically build their foundation on this technique. Since demons are mostly of dark attributes, demon exorcists need to cultivate bright attribute techniques. To better counter demons, Guin Fong sat cross-legged, closed his eyes, and began to absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Shortly after, a warm current began to gather at his elixir field. Unknowingly, Guin Fong actually fell asleep and woke up only the next day. He couldn't help but lament, "It's not that I'm not trying hard, it's just that cultivation is too dull and boring." Therefore, he placed his hopes on the system, asking why it couldn't directly increase his cultivation level, always enhancing some strange attributes, either defense or strength. "Are you trying to turn me into a muscle man?" To his surprise, the system replied that it couldn't increase his cultivation because he had no cultivation level. Seeing this response, Guin Fong was frustrated. "System, you can't lie with your eyes open. I clearly have cultivation at the 3rd level of energy gathering." The system clarified that the energy gathering realm merely involves storing the energy of heaven and earth in the body, which does not count as true cultivation. It's only when one reaches the inner energy realm, refining the stored energy into one's own inner energy, that one truly has cultivation. Only then can the system enhance the cultivation and inner energy. Disappointed, Guin Fong asked if there was any room for negotiation, but the system ruthlessly refused. He felt helpless, knowing it would take ages to reach the inner energy realm through cultivation. Nevertheless, he decided to let it go for now and proceed to the 2nd round of the competition. Being a man with only 3rd level energy gathering cultivation, but possessing a legendary mysterious rank spirit weapon, he was immediately surrounded by a crowd at the martial arts field, all curious about the Wood King sword. In a Demon Quelling Bureau, ordinary yellow rank demon exorcists typically only used common weapons. Only at the mysterious rank demon exorcist level could one possibly get a yellow level spirit weapon, and only earth rank demon exorcists had mysterious rank spirit weapons. There was only one earth level spirit weapon in the entire Demon Quelling Bureau, held by the heaven rank demon exorcist Li Qianren. Yet Guin Fong, merely an apprentice demon exorcist with 3rd level energy gathering cultivation, owned a mysterious rank spirit weapon, causing envy among many. His opponent for the day, still a man at the 9th level of energy gathering, felt he had little chance against a mysterious rank spirit weapon. Deciding to take the initiative, he planned to defeat Guin Fong before he could use his spirit weapon. Charging at Guin Fong with a sword, just as his blade was about to strike, vines from the Wood King's sword instantly weaved into a wooden shield, so hard that his long sword couldn't penetrate it. Frustrated, he leaped back to distance himself from Guin Fong. On landing and seeing Guin Fong well protected, the man was at a loss on how to proceed. But Guin Fong had no intention of giving his opponent time to think. He immediately controlled the vines to entangle the man's long sword and, with a strong pull, disarmed the man in an instant. Countless vines then crazily spread towards the man, with some even suddenly shooting up from the ground, catching him off guard. Seeing that the time was right, Guin Fong prepared to return the long sword to his opponent and end the match. However, unexpectedly, the opponent resorted to a sneak attack at this moment, which only resulted in being whipped away by Guin Fong's controlling vines. This scene left the audience silent. In the next match, Guin Fong didn't even bother with any words, directly using the vines to bind his opponent and sending him off the stage. It was not very harmful but highly insulting, leaving the audience with mixed feelings. Then, an old man in the competition proposed to Guin Fong to have a fair match without using the spirit weapon, offering to suppress his cultivation to the 3rd level of energy gathering. But before he could finish his sentence, Guin Fong's controlling vines had already struck, sending the old man flying. Watching the old man flying away, Guin Fong belatedly asked, "What was he saying? The wind was too loud. I didn't hear clearly." After this match, Guin Fong successfully entered the top 4 but faced collective opposition from the other contestants. They complained to Manhwa, accusing Guin Fong of blatant cheating by winning with the spirit weapon, rendering the competition meaningless. Manhwa saw this as an opportunity and sent Huang, a steward, to deal with Guin Fong. The next morning, while Guin Fong was cultivating in his room, Huang arrived and bluntly told him about the complaints and boycott from other apprentice demon exorcists and martial practitioners. He mentioned that Lord he was willing to help him out if Guin Fong agreed to sell the Wood King's sword to him. Lord he would even allow him to continue using it until he obtained the rank of yellow rank demon exorcist, at which point he would need to hand over the sword. In return, Guin Fong would receive a substantial amount of money, the position of yellow rank demon exorcist, and Lord's favor. Faced with Huang's threats and temptations, Guin Fong directly asked, "What if I refuse to sell?" Huang spread his hands in a feigned helpless gesture, saying that Guin Fong would then be prohibited from using the Wood King's sword in the competition, stopping at the top 4 and missing out on the yellow rank demon exorcist position. Besides displeasing Lord He, Guin Fong, unswayed by this, chose to send the steward away, asking him to tell Lord He that the Wood King's sword was a family heirloom. "I'm not interested in selling, so no deal. You may leave now." Steward Huang snorted coldly. What a foolish, tactless man. At the martial arts field, the atmosphere was buzzing with excitement, everyone feeling sorry for Guin Fong's next opponent, Hu Banqing, one of the favorites to win the competition. Hu Banqing, with his 9th level of energy gathering cultivation, had previously slain an ironclad corpse. Unfortunately, he was up against Guin Fong. Just before the match was about to start, Hu Banqing suddenly addressed the judges. "Honorable judges, I have something to say. Guin Fong, by exploiting the loopholes in the rules of the competition and blatantly cheating with his spirit weapon, has made a mockery of this contest. This competition is meant to choose the strongest, most deserving candidate for the yellow rank demon exorcist position. But this man, aside from his spirit weapon, has no real strength and lacks the character to command respect. Therefore, I request the judges to revoke Guin Fong's privilege to use his spirit weapon to ensure fairness in the competition." Seizing the opportunity, Manhwa asked if Guin Fong had anything to say. Surprisingly, Guin Fong said, "I only used the spirit weapon because I was worried about damaging your confidence. You all think I can only win with the spirit weapon, but what if I don't rely on it?" This comment caused laughter among the audience. Did I hear that right? He thinks he can win without the spirit weapon? Without a spirit weapon, you are nothing. Despite the audience's jeers and mockery, Guin Fong confidently put away the Wood King's sword and said, "I intended to mingle with you as an ordinary person, but all I got in return was coldness and ridicule. Fine, I won't pretend anymore. I'm laying all my cards on the table. Actually, I have long been invincible in the energy gathering realm. I can win without the spirit weapon." Given Guin Fong's declaration, Manhwa naturally revoked his right to use the spirit weapon. The competition began, and Hu Banqing, facing Guin Fong with only 3rd level energy gathering cultivation, was disdainful. He even put away his long sword, opting to attack Guin Fong with his fists. A loud thud was heard as his fist hit Guin Fong's head, but in the next second, a sound of bone cracking came from Hu Banqing's hand, followed by a piercing scream of agony. This scene shocked Manhwa, who stood up from his seat, unable to believe that Guin Fong had mastered the iron cloth robe. The one-eyed woman nearby couldn't help but admire. "I never thought there would be such a genius in external cultivation in this world." The audience erupted into excitement, finding it unbelievable that Guin Fong, at the 3rd level of energy gathering, could withstand a punch from a 9th level practitioner. And with that, Hu Banqing finally recovered from the pain of his broken bone. Pulling out the long sword he had initially planted in the ground, he once again charged at Guin Fong. To his surprise, Guin Fong easily blocked his attack with just his bare hands, and with a slight effort, broke the long sword. Guin Fong calmly stated, "Do you now realize the gap between us? I didn't want to use my true strength just to avoid crushing your confidence. Now, you've been defeated by a martial practitioner of only the 3rd level of energy gathering. How do you plan to console yourself?" Facing the demon like Guin Fong, Hu Banqing, though terrified, stubbornly retorted, "I haven't lost. You're just physically tough. You're far from winning against me." Guin Fong, tired of the banter, pressed his hand on Hu Banqing's head and forcibly made his face meet the ground, causing an indentation on impact. Hu Banqing instantly passed out. Guin Fong dusted himself off and asked the steward to announce the result with a smile. Thus, he once again easily won the match, overwhelming his opponent with sheer strength. However, after he left the arena, his next opponent, by Taming, looked at his departing figure in utter despair, even doubting whether his spear could pierce Guin Feng's skin. This scene did not escape Hifenghua's notice. Later, he approached by Taming, inquiring whether he felt confident about defeating Guin Fong in the upcoming match. By Taming reluctantly admitted that his spirit was broken, doubting his ability to penetrate Guin Feng's iron cloth robe. To his surprise, Hifenghua presented him with a spear named Facing the Phoenix, a yellow-grade lower-tier spirit weapon which he had never used in public. By Taming was puzzled by Hifenghua's intentions. Hifenghua coldly remarked that Guin Feng's arrogant and violent nature would make him a disastrous yellow-rank demon exorcist for the people. He offered the spear to aid by Taming, assuring that with it, he could surely break through Guin Feng's iron cloth robe. Gratefully, by Taming accepted the weapon, feeling his fortunes had turned, and now stood a chance to become a yellow-rank demon exorcist, even gaining Lord Yi's favor. However, by Taming quickly realized something was amiss. Weren't spirit weapons banned in this competition? That would mean he would be openly violating the rules by using one. But Hifenghua just coldly laughed, clarifying that it was only Guin Fong who had been prohibited from using spirit weapons. By Taming hesitated, knowing this was Hifenghua's scheme to make him cheat. While he could compete smoothly with the judge's approval, it would tarnish his reputation. Weighing the potential of becoming a yellow-rank demon exorcist against the cost to his reputation, by Taming eventually agreed. The next day, Guin Fong arrived at the arena on time for his match. Stepping onto the stage, he immediately became the center of attention. His feat of defeating opponents 6 levels above him had made him the talk of the town. Some even decided to cultivate the iron cloth robe, leading to a shortage of copies in the library. Facing by Taming, Guin Fong nonchalantly asked if he wanted to go through the motions of a match or concede immediately. Unexpectedly, by Taming then said, "Don't be arrogant, Guin Fong. I know you pride yourself on your unmatched defense, but I, by Taming, am not to be trifled with either. I have developed my own unique spear technique, powerful enough to penetrate anything. If you can withstand just one strike from me, I will concede defeat. How does that sound?" Seeing the other party so confident, Guin Fong didn't waste words. He simply opened his shirt and let by Taming go through the motions. "Just aim here. I'm afraid you might tear my clothes." By Taming was overjoyed inside, but Guin Feng's expression instantly darkened. He wondered if this guy had some peculiar fetish, staring at his pectorals for so long. Then, the real contest began. By Taming swung his Facing the Phoenix and didn't waste words, directly stabbing towards Guin Fong. This move immediately drew ridicule from the audience below. They had restricted Guin Fong from using his spirit weapon, but allowed by Taming to use his, which was utterly despicable. Accompanied by a loud boom, flames erupted on the stage, and by Taming, holding his long spear, revealed a cold smile, feeling sure of his victory. But when the flames dissipated, Guin Fong appeared unharmed, enveloped in a golden bell shield. The audience gasped in surprise at that moment. This is the golden bell shield in its full form. No wonder Guin Fong could withstand the spirit weapon. The fully mastered golden bell shield, coupled with the fully mastered iron cloth robe, makes his body comparable to a lower-grade yellow-rank spirit weapon. Guin Fong then calmly said, "So this is your so-called self-developed gun technique. Using a spirit weapon counts as self-developed? You're quite the talent." By Taming was incredulous. He stabbed with his spear again, but it couldn't advance an inch after hitting Guin Feng's golden bell shield. Guin Fong, now somewhat impatient, asked, "Are you enjoying stabbing me?" By Taming, full of fear, looked at Guin Fong, and this gaze made Guin Fong quite uncomfortable. "Why are you leering at me again?" By Taming seemed to have misunderstood something, suspecting that Guin Fong had been using words to guide him to attack the chest area intentionally. He concluded that there must be a problem with Guin Feng's chest. So, by Taming decided to stab somewhere else, and the navel seemed the best choice. Thinking this, by Taming stabbed again, but Guin Fong easily caught the spear tip with 2 fingers, unable to advance any further. Guin Fong, angered by the angle of this strike, said, "Where are you stabbing? That's really rude." After saying this, Guin Fong exerted a little force and snatched the long spear from by Taming's hand, then casually threw it out of the arena. Seeing this, the audience lost interest in the match and rushed out to pick up the spirit weapon. Hifenghua on the stage was dark-faced, as this spirit weapon belonged to him. Now that he hadn't gotten the Wood King sword and Facing the Phoenix might be picked up by someone else, it it was a real loss. Thus, he hastily found an excuse to leave the martial arts arena. By Taming then showed a triumphant expression. I knew it. There's a problem with your chest. Otherwise, why wouldn't you let me stab anywhere else? Guin Fong was speechless. Stab, stab. That's all you know. I'm a man, you know. Didn't I tell you before the match not to damage my clothes? After saying this, Guin Fong directly turned Bai Maiming into a pig-headed figure. Only then did Bai Maiming realize that Guin Feng's refusal to let him stab his stomach was indeed just to avoid tearing his clothes. Afterwards, Guin Fong, who was tired from the fight, slowly stood up, but his robe was pinned down by Bai Maiming, who was kneeling on the ground. With a ripping sound, the clothes were ultimately torn. Seeing the situation turn bad, Bai Maiming was just about to surrender when Guin Feng's fist had already struck. He was then blasted out of the arena. Subsequently, the referee announced Guin Feng's victory in the match, earning him a spot as a yellow-rank demon exorcist. Steward Huang and the one-eyed woman, after congratulating him, gave him the standard equipment for a yellow-rank demon exorcist, which included the goose feather blade and the exorcism token. The goose feather blade, although not a spirit weapon, was of high quality, forged from 100 refined fine steel. It was engraved with a small formation, providing a certain lethality against demons. The exorcism token, on the surface, was a token representing identity, but in fact, it contained an engraved formation that could capture the death aura of demons. Whenever its holder killed a demon, the exorcism token would record the information, functioning as a merit recorder. After handing over the items to Guin Fong, the one-eyed woman found an excuse to leave early, leaving the remaining matters to Steward Huang. Consequently, Steward Huang had to take up the task of guiding Guin Fong to receive his promotion benefits. As a newly promoted yellow-rank demon exorcist, he was entitled to receive a primordial cultivation pill and could choose a martial technique from the Scripture Vault Pavilion. However, it was Guin Feng's first visit to the second floor of the Scripture Vault Pavilion. Faced with the numerous and varied types of martial arts, he was unsure of what to choose. Therefore, he simply closed his eyes and decided to pick one at random to test his luck. After closing his eyes for a moment, he finally had a feeling and opened his eyes. But the administrator, upon seeing the book he had chosen, advised him to pick another one because it was very dangerous. It turned out that the technique Guin Fong had in his hand was called the Burn Bright Sword, an extremely extreme sword technique. It uses the bright fire energy gathered in the human body to attack the enemy, often hurting oneself before the enemy. It requires very high control, and a slight carelessness can lead to self-immolation. Therefore, the administrator advised Guin Fong to choose again. There's no shame in that. The important thing is that it suits you. But his words only made Guin Fong even more determined to keep this technique. Excited, he couldn't help but tremble all over, because the characteristics of this technique were just too suitable for him. He had both a strong physique and a talent for fire mastery. This sword technique seemed to be made for his current self. If the white bone wraith fire could be combined with this burn bright sword, it would be like having an extra trump card. So Guin Fong decided on the spot that this was the one he wanted. He also planned to pick up a golden bell shield on the way out. The administrator urgently advised him to be cautious, as the technique was truly dangerous. But Guin Fong confidently stated, no hardship is too great to showcase success. Do you believe in fate? It has chosen me. If there's one person in the Great Flame Dynasty who can master this technique, it must be me, Guin Fong. After saying this, Guin Fong did not explain further and left the Scripture Vault Pavilion. The administrator, after seeing Guin Fong off, couldn't help but sigh. Guin Fong, I have harmed you. When Guin Fong left the Scripture Vault Pavilion, he happened to run into Steward Huang. Seeing the golden bell shield in Guin Feng's hand, Steward Huang was puzzled. Why are you taking this technique? Haven't you already mastered the golden bell shield? Guin Fong scratched his head awkwardly, then quoted a sage's anecdote, to review the old and know the new, to repeatedly refine until reaching the peak. But this statement touched Steward Huang. He hadn't expected Guin Fong to share such a profound way of the warrior principle so casually. Impressed, on his way back to report, Steward Huang secretly decided not to make things difficult for Guin Fong unless explicitly ordered by his superior. But as he was about to enter the mansion to report, he found Yifeng was standing outside, wearing a veil and showing no intention of entering. After some inquiry, it was revealed that Yifeng, in his pursuit of facing the phoenix, discovered that its location was actually his own home. Moreover, coincidentally, it had been thrown into a manure pit. Spirit weapons are extremely sharp, and it had pierced right to the bottom of the pit. The yard had already been cleaned by Yifeng just now, but there's still a bit of an odor. Coincidentally, he had heard that Steward Huang had a poor sense of smell, which was confirmed upon meeting him today. This made Steward Huang the perfect candidate for the task at hand. Thus, Yifeng took Steward Huang to the bottom of the manure pit to help retrieve the spirit weapon facing the phoenix. Looking at the feces, Steward Huang couldn't help but break into a cold sweat, feeling his sense of smell returning slightly, which was somewhat nauseating. Nevertheless, he jumped down and fished it out. Meanwhile, Guin Fong was in the house, mastering the golden bell shield to a high level. Next, he planned to cultivate the Burn Bright Sword. However, practicing it here might burn down the house, something he couldn't afford, so so he decided to practice in the suburbs. Soon after, Guin Fong arrived at the outskirts of Phoenix Tree County. The first step in cultivating the Burn Bright Sword was to be continuously exposed to the sun for a long time, absorbing bright fire energy in a specific way. Since it's nighttime and there's no sun, Guin Fong decides to skip the first step directly. This process involved letting the bright fire energy soak into one's inner energy, changing its nature. One had to refine and compress this bright fire-infused inner energy, nurturing it until it burst forth like fire. However, Guin Fong, only at the third level of the energy-gathering realm, lacked inner energy. Therefore, he skipped to the second step, focusing on concentrating the fiery inner energy on the sword. The technique involved compressing and igniting this energy at a precise point to unleash it explosively. Without high mastery, one might self-immolate before even executing the technique. Reading this, Guin Fong broke into a cold sweat, wondering about the intricacies of compression and ignition. Suddenly, he thought of compressing and igniting the white bone wraith fire in the same way. He called for his sword, summoning the Wood King's sword, and attempted to use the method of the Burn Bright Sword to slash out the white bone wraith fire. If successful, this technique would be far stronger and faster than merely throwing out the white bone wraith fire. After several attempts, Guin Fong managed to compress the white bone wraith fire onto the Wood King's sword, which seemed not so difficult. However, when he confidently executed the slash, the white bone wraith fire on the sword suddenly drifted upwards and exploded on the spot, covering him in soot. This was a bit too hasty. Nonetheless, Guin Fong wasn't discouraged and tried again using the method described in the Burn Bright Sword. As expected, it exploded again. After repeated failures, Guin Fong finally succeeded in unleashing a highly concentrated sword energy that split a small mountain. The powerful sword energy continued its trajectory towards Phoenix Tree County. A loud boom followed, and the sky above Phoenix Tree County was illuminated with a blaze so bright it turned night into day. Having executed this strike, Guin Fong finally understood the nature of the Burn Bright Sword. High compression followed by an explosion. However, realizing the direction of the sword energy was towards Phoenix Tree County, he immediately sensed something was wrong. What if the explosion of the sword energy harmed others? Realizing this, Guin Fong quickly turned and ran. Shortly after he left, a group of people arrived at the scene, led by the heaven-ranked demon exorcist of the Phoenix Tree County Demon Quelling Bureau. Upon arriving, he immediately sensed the presence of white bone wraith fire. The method to refine white bone wraith fire was unique to the blood demon sect. Additionally, the sword marks on the ground clearly indicated they were made by combining white bone wraith fire with sword techniques. Thus, he deduced that the person who wielded the sword must be a blood demon sect grandmaster, proficient in both swordsmanship and fire control. Moreover, he believed the sword technique used was the Demon Quelling Bureau's Burn Bright Sword. This meant that the person had either been to the Demon Quelling Bureau or that there was a spy within the Bureau. The blood demon sect's biggest adversary was the Demon Quelling Bureau, so this could be a signal they were releasing against the Bureau. He guessed their intention, sending an innate realm powerhouse to Phoenix Tree County to swing a sword at night, destroying a mountain but not harming people, was a clear provocation. Moreover, the choice of the Burn Bright Sword indicated a spy in the Demon Quelling Bureau who knew its secrets. This made the purpose of the blood demon sect clear. They were after the Candledark Sword. The Candledark Sword, an Earth rank medium-level martial technique, and the mysterious rank medium-level Burn Bright Sword both originated from the incomplete Heaven rank Cross Underworld Flame Sword. These two techniques, which Li Qianren had practiced, were incomplete even when combined. The incomplete texts of these two techniques couldn't reproduce the Cross Underworld Flame Sword in its entirety. Therefore, he speculated that the blood demon sect's overt probing was to unsettle him and reveal the location of the Candledark Sword. But this actually confirmed that the original hiding place was safe and didn't need to be moved. Since the enemy had come to him, he planned to use the Candledark Sword to lure them out and trap them in a net. This would not only eliminate a blood demon sect core member but also potentially complete the Heaven rank technique if the enemy had other fragments. However, he decided to discuss this further with his colleagues. As he walked downstairs, he passed by the culprit, Guin Fong. Later, Guin Fong arrived at the resting room and was relieved to see everyone was fine. Today's experiment with the Burn Bright Sword combined with white bone wraith fire was a resounding success, far more powerful than he expected. If he used this technique in the future, it could accidentally harm the wrong people and cause endless trouble. However, the last sword stroke was a fluke, and he might not be able to replicate it. This indicated the need for extensive practice to ensure stability and reduce accidents, but the power and noise of the technique made it impossible to practice secretly. Suddenly, Guin Fong thought of using ordinary flames instead of white bone wraith fire. If he replaced white bone wraith fire with normal flames, the power would be much less. His talent in fire mastery meant he could control any flame, making no difference between normal flames and white bone wraith fire. The most important thing was to practice the Burn Bright Sword without arousing suspicion. Having figured this out, Guin Fong pulled out a primordial cultivation pill from his pocket. This pill was necessary for martial practitioners in the inner energy realm, but of limited use to some someone in the energy-gathering realm like himself. He hesitated, knowing that without it, he might never reach the inner energy realm. After a brief hesitation, he decided to take it. As the pill dissolved, a pure medicinal power filled his body, and Guin Fong immediately began to absorb it using the pure bright technique. This scene drew praise from the surrounding demon exorcists for his diligence, practicing even in the resting hall and setting an example for them all. An hour later, Guin Fong felt his internal power reaching a critical point, and he accidentally let out a thunderous fart, filling the resting room with an unbearable stench. However, Guin Fong finally broke through to the 4th level of the energy-gathering realm, reaching its pinnacle. He hadn't expected the primordial cultivation pill to be so effective that a few more could potentially advance him to the inner energy realm in minutes. Yet, the Demon Quelling Bureau was stingy, issuing the primordial cultivation pill only once. As a yellow-rank demon exorcist, one could only obtain more pills by completing tasks and earning merits. With such pills available for rapid cultivation, who would want to toil away? So, one could only work daily to earn merits, living the life of an honest laborer. Thinking of work, Guin Fong suddenly remembered that today was his first day reporting as a yellow-rank demon exorcist, and he couldn't afford to be late. So, he immediately hurried back, but to his surprise, his direct superior turned out to be Fenghua. No wonder Fenghua was the referee in the recent competition. He replaced the deceased mysterious rank demon exorcist, Mr. Yang, and was selecting subordinates. Guin Fong realized he might be in trouble for refusing Fenghua twice. With this in mind, Guin Fong felt a sense of foreboding but still initiated the report. Subordinate Guin Fong reporting for duty. However, Fenghua remained silent, creating an awkward atmosphere, clearly intending to embarrass Guin Fong. Fortunately, a one-eyed woman stretched lazily and greeted Guin Fong, easing the awkwardness. She then approached Guin Fong, placed her hand on his shoulder, and said with a smile, "I can only help you so much. You're late on your first day of attendance," completely disregarding the rules. "As a punishment, you'll lose a month's salary. I hope you'll take this as a lesson." She then turned to Fenghua and asked, "Fenghua, what do you think?" Fenghua, with a somber expression, slowly uttered a word, "Acceptable." Guin Fong was dumbfounded and inwardly complained, "Great, on my first day of work, I'm fined a month's salary. Looks like I'll be working for free this month. Are you two playing with me?" He retorted, "Stop talking nonsense." When I arrived, the sundial outside was just a hair's breadth from the appointed time. "It's not my fault you didn't hear me report." Fenghua, with a piercing gaze, replied, "I am merely enforcing the rules impartially. We can verify the time by the sundial outside. You could admit your mistake, and I might consider leniency." Guin Fong just chuckled and said, "Lord what an authoritative display. It seems you're abusing your power to suppress others." This statement shocked the other demon exorcists in the room, who admired Guin Fong's boldness for confronting a superior on his first day, though they wondered if he understood the principle of bowing under someone else's roof. Fenghua, picking up his cup, calmly said, "Guin Fong, do you realize the crime of slandering a superior?" Unintimidated, Guin Fong countered, "Fenghua, do you know the crime of framing a subordinate, coercion, and manipulating the competition?" As soon as these words were spoken, the entire room was shaken, and Fenghua even crushed the cup in his hand, his face darkening as he spoke. "Such defiance! You must be tainted by demon evil. I will have you assigned to the demon quelling prison. Spend your life as a prison guard." Hearing this, Guin Fong was momentarily stunned, wondering if this was a stroke of luck. He had been worrying about an excuse to get transferred to the demon quelling prison, and now Fenghua was offering it on a platter. Guin Fong stepped forward, gratefully grabbed Fenghua's hand, and tearfully expressed his thanks, secretly delighted in his heart. The second layer demons, here I come. But this move baffled Fenghua, who assumed Guin Fong was acting out of fear. At this moment, the one-eyed woman stepped in, suggesting that Fenghua, not being heartless, should reconsider since they were short-staffed after recent upheavals. Guin Fong quickly interjected, "Don't pardon me. Please send me to the demon quelling prison right away." Hearing this, the one-eyed woman was infuriated by his stubbornness, admonishing him for not taking the opportunity to back down. Suddenly, Fenghua coughed to interrupt, "Today, I'll be magnanimous and let this pass. Steward Huang, take them to choose their subordinates. I have documents to attend to." Fenghua's leniency wasn't out of generosity, but because the Demon Quelling Bureau was short-staffed, and he couldn't afford a problem so soon into his tenure. For Guin Fong, it was a disappointing moment as his desired second-layer assignment seemed to slip away. Steward Huang then led Guin Fong to select subordinates, explaining that each yellow-rank demon exorcist could choose up to 5 people. Steward Huang introduced the new demon exorcists, among whom 4 were high-level inner energy realm masters, while Guin Fong was only at the 3rd level of the energy-gathering realm. The attendees were somewhat aware of Guin Fong's deeds, but remained skeptical, seeing his strength as superficial due to his lower cultivation level. They believed that while Guin Fong might be formidable in physical combat, he would be vulnerable against inner energy realm martial practitioners. Additionally, they viewed physical prowess as having a low ceiling compared to cultivation levels. In their eyes, Guin Fong was the weakest among the 5, which became evident during the selection phase as everyone else quickly gathered followers, leaving Guin Fong with no one. It seemed he was being shunned by the others. Given the limited number of trainee demon exorcists present, and Guin Fong realized he might not recruit anyone at this rate. Therefore, Guin Fong decided to take the initiative and started persuading others to join his team instead, arguing that although following a powerful leader might seem safer, they would be helpless against demons stronger than their leader. He assured them that if they joined his team, he would act as a shield in front of them, increasing their survival chances. Despite the general disdain towards Guin Fong, there were exceptions, like the life-fearing Fatty Wong and the scholarly Su Fan, who were successfully persuaded by Guin Fong. After selecting his subordinates, according to Demon Quelling Bureau's rules, each yellow-ranked demon exorcist was responsible for a specific area to manage demon-related incidents. This assignment was, of course, in the hands of mysterious ranked demon exorcist Manhwa. At this moment, Fatty Wong behind him was praying not to be assigned to Blackwater Village. Curious, Guin Fong asked what was wrong with Blackwater Village and learned from Fatty Wong that the recently deceased mysterious ranked demon exorcist, Mr. Yang, died there in the dry bone forest. On a dark, windy night, Mr. Yang and 4 yellow-ranked demon exorcists were patrolling the dry bone forest when the bones suddenly turned into demons and killed Mr. Yang. Upon hearing this, a heaven-ranked demon exorcist angrily sent an earth rank and 3 mysterious ranked demon exorcists to Blackwater Village, but they returned empty-handed, concluding that the demon was not local and moved around. However, anyone with a brain could tell that these were just comforting words. Demons prefer dark places, and the dry bone forest had an even darker aura. The demon must be highly intelligent, hiding when demon exorcists arrived and re-emerging to commit crimes once they left. After Manhwa took over Mr. Yang's position, he was responsible for Dark Mountain County, Blackwater Village being one of its villages. Thus, Fatty Wong feared being assigned there and even asked Guin Fong about his relationship with Manhwa, suggesting they request some leniency. Guin Fong awkwardly smiled at Manhwa and said, "My relationship with Lord He is excellent. He will surely give me special consideration." Hearing this, Fatty Wong was overjoyed, thinking Guin Fong had a good relationship with Manhwa. However, Manhwa coldly assigned Blackwater Village to Guin Fong. Fatty Wong was stunned, questioning Guin Fong's claim of a good relationship with Manhwa. Guin Fong awkwardly nodded. "Yes, we have a history." Realizing the situation, Fatty Wong fell to his knees, understanding he had boarded a sinking ship. He suggested to Guin Fong that they could just patrol the outskirts of Blackwater Village without entering to fulfill their duty, but Guin Fong insisted that such deceit was not befitting of a demon exorcist, whose duty was to protect the people from demons. Fatty Wong glared at Su Fan, urging him to persuade Guin Fong. Su Fan, however, solemnly agreed with Guin Fong, saying, "The Lord is right. Our duty is to save the people from disaster and restore order. I have indeed come to the right place. Lord Gu is truly a hero." Hearing this, Fatty Wong was completely dumbfounded, questioning whether Su Fan was flattering or had really lost his mind, and wondered if it was still possible to prepare for his own demise. Guin Fong turned with a smile, reassuring everyone, "Don't worry, with me here, mere demons are nothing to worry about. However, we still have 3 days before heading to Blackwater Village." Guin Fong planned to use this time to practice the Burn Bright sword, although using ordinary flames would be less powerful and more cumbersome due to the need to light them first. So, Guin Fong thought of simplifying the process of igniting the flames, ideally having them ready as soon as he drew his sword. Suddenly, an idea struck him: why not use a lighter? He planned to forge the sword blade from special flint material, fill the scabbard with a special oil, and add a catch mechanism so that drawing the sword would ignite the oil. With his fire mastery talent, he wouldn't have to worry about the remaining oil in the scabbard igniting, as he could extinguish it. Feeling like a genius for his modern approach, Guin Fong headed to the Demon Quelling Bureau's blacksmith to craft his weapon. Unexpectedly, the blacksmith, a fitness enthusiast, initially refused to take his order. Guin Fong sighed at the typical public servant attitude, but then decided to use his financial influence, handing over money and the design. Upon seeing the money, the blacksmith's attitude changed drastically, and he began to study the design intensely. After a while, the blacksmith expressed his concern that a sword made from flint would be extremely fragile and unsuitable for combat. Guin Fong anticipated this and instructed him to follow the design anyway, as he didn't intend to use the sword for fighting, but solely for performing the Burn Bright sword technique. The blacksmith, understanding his intent, asked Guin Fong to return in 5 days. Guin Fong, realizing he would be heading to Blackwater Village in 3 days, couldn't take such a risk and offered more money for a 3-day completion. The blacksmith initially hesitated but agreed after seeing the extra money and got to work. Driven by the additional payment, the blacksmith completed the fire sword, named Yama by Guin Fong, in just 2 days. For safety, Guin Fong prepared extensively, including a demon-slaying sword blessed by a master, the Demon Quelling Bureau's goose feather blade, and the regenerative and adaptable Wood King sword he discovered during his practice. Additionally, he had 7 talismans and a bottle of energy-nourishing pill. With these preparations, Guin Fong felt confident about the upcoming mission and called Fatty Wong Wang and Su Fan to depart. However, Fatty Wang seemed to have gained even more weight, which Gu Qingfeng learned was due to Fatty Wang wearing an extra layer of thick armor out of fear, leaving Gu Qingfeng to marvel at his ability to move in such heavy armor. Subsequently, the group set off and finally arrived at Dark Mountain County's Blackwater village by dusk. Seeing the peaceful scene in Blackwater village, Gu Qingfeng couldn't help but wonder if there really were demons here. Nevertheless, he decided to enter the village and take a look. As soon as they entered, an old man named Huliang, the village head, stopped them. After a brief exchange, Huliang recounted the recent events in the village. A month ago, a mysterious black wind began to blow through Blackwater village, abducting children. Initially, villagers didn't pay much attention, attributing the disappearances to wild animals, common in their mountainous region. However, when more children went missing, even from their homes, with witnesses claiming a blinding black wind was responsible, Huliang, who had encountered demons during his travels, reported the incidents to the Demon Quelling Bureau. That's when Mr. Yang's tragedy occurred. Strangely, after Mr. Yang's departure, no more children disappeared, as if the Earth-ranked demon exorcist's assertion of a mobile demon was true. After learning the full story, Gu Qingfeng told Huliang to return home, planning to explore the dry bone forest while there was still light. However, Fatty Wang grabbed his shoulder, suggesting they report back since there had been no demon disturbances for several days, indicating the demon might have left. Gu Qingfeng firmly rejected the idea, declaring his intention to stay in Blackwater village overnight and threatening to expose Fatty Wang's cowardice if he left. Internally, Gu Qingfeng hoped to encounter a demon for a chance to level up. Seeing no escape, Fatty Wang hastily agreed to stay. Their attention was then caught by a candied hawthorn seller, especially attracting Fatty Wang, who asked Gu Qingfeng and Su Fan if they wanted some. As Su Fan was about to respond, Gu Qingfeng said he'd like one. Understanding the cue, Fatty Wang hurried after the vendor without buying for Su Fan. However, no matter how much Fatty Wang called, the vendor, as if deaf, walked into an alley and disappeared. Fatty Wang followed, but soon screamed in terror. When Gu Qingfeng arrived, he found Fatty Wang pointing at a dead end, exclaiming that the vendor had vanished. Gu Qingfeng and Su Fan thoroughly inspected the area, finding no traces of traps or hidden exits. Considering Fatty Wang's martial practitioner level, the vendor's disappearance indicated they were at least a true energy realm practitioner or a hidden expert. If so, they could have solved the child abduction issue themselves, suggesting the vendor was a demon. Now, they needed evidence to confirm this theory. Gu Qingfeng then turned his attention to a few children playing nearby. Believing they must have seen something while playing in the area, he approached a child with a top-knot hairstyle to inquire if they had seen any suspicious persons recently. Unexpectedly, the child responded with a question. Suspicious? Who's more suspicious than you? Fatty Wang, infuriated by the child's response, rolled up his sleeves and threatened to teach the child a lesson, but to his surprise, Su Fan made no move to intervene, leaving him embarrassed. Gu Qingfeng handed 2 copper coins to the child, asking if they had seen a candied hawthorn seller recently. To his astonishment, after taking the money, the child claimed not to have seen any such vendor. Gu Qingfeng was frustrated, questioning why the child had taken the money without providing any information, when suddenly the sky darkened unexpectedly. Startled, Fatty Wang grabbed Gu Qingfeng's hand, wanting to leave the place quickly. However, at that moment, a hand landed on his shoulder, and village head Huliang appeared behind them, inviting them to dine at his home, having prepared a meal already. Gu Qingfeng readily agreed, but Fatty Wang, sensing something sinister in the village, urged Gu Qingfeng to leave early. Gu Qingfeng dismissed his concerns, but when he turned around, he noticed that the children they had just seen were now gone. Sensing something amiss with these consecutive disappearances, Gu Qingfeng turned to Huliang and remarked sarcastically about the interesting nature of the village, people vanishing in an instant. However, Huliang responded with surprise, questioning why there would be children outside at such a late hour, especially after recent demon disturbances. Fatty Wang clung to Gu Qingfeng in fear upon hearing this. Gu Qingfeng pondered if Huliang was telling the truth, then both the vendor and the children must have been demons, and even suspected something might be amiss with the village head and the entire village. To test his theory, Gu Qingfeng devised a small experiment, asking Su Fan and Fatty Wang to turn their heads and then look back on the count of 3 to see if Huliang would also disappear. As expected, when they turned back, Huliang was gone, which terrified Fatty Wang, who clung to Su Fan. Although Gu Qingfeng wasn't scared, he was annoyed. His desire for a candied hawthorn went unfulfilled. He was tricked out of 2 copper coins by the children, and even the village head seemed to be playing tricks on him. Frustrated, Gu Qingfeng instructed Fatty Wang and Su Fan to search every house in the village, determined to find the missing people. However, when Fatty Wang and Su Fan returned after searching, their findings were shockingly identical. Both the east and west sides of the village were completely deserted. Growing increasingly fearful, Fatty Wang suggested they should return and call for backup. Gu Qingfeng, however, ignored him, wondering if they had been under an illusion since entering the village. With this in mind, he immediately inquired of his system why he hadn't received any feedback on getting stronger despite being under an illusion. The system replied implied there were two possibilities. 1. The illusion wasn't cast by a demon but was man-made. 2. It was a demon's illusion similar to a sleight of hand, causing no harm and thus triggering no system response. Guin Fong realized the distinction. Back then, in the demon-quelling prison, I was under the illusion of the eye demon. It was the eye demon trying to invade my brain with an illusion to control my body, which was an attack, thus triggering the system's response. But after taming the eye demon, I could still use it to cast illusions on myself, because it wasn't launching an attack. And this time, I didn't receive the slightest harm, so the system had no reaction at all. Having understood, Guin Fong drew his goose feather blade, determined to investigate the dry bone forest. Arriving at the dry bone forest with Fatty Wong and Su Fan, Guin Fong loudly called out for Hu Liang, then began searching unabashedly, even laughing eerily as if he were at home. Fatty Wong and Su Fan marveled internally at Guin Feng's fearlessness, pondering who the real demon was. As Guin Fong seemed too terrifying, they felt a strange sense of security with Guin Fong. Unlike other demon-quelling bureau teams, fearlessly sought out demons instead of cautiously avoiding them. Fatty Wong and Su Fan resolved never to deceive Guin Fong, while the hidden demon in the forest doubted if Guin Fong was even human for his lack of fear. The demon hesitated to attack, wary of drawing the demon-quelling bureau's attention. Guin Fong and his companions eventually reached a graveyard where Guin Fong, drawing on his gaming experience, expected a boss battle but found no response from the tombstones. This led him to question his approach. Suddenly, Fatty Wong screamed and collapsed, pointing at a tombstone and muttering incoherently. Guin Fong discovered the tombstone bore Hu Liang's name, and Fatty Wong, recalling Hu Liang's recent dinner invitation, felt weak at the knees. Realizing Hu Liang was deceased, Guin Fong concluded that the tombstones must belong to Blackwater Village's residents and that they had encountered Hu Liang's soul. Angry, Guin Fong kicked Hu Liang's tombstone to pieces and instructed Fatty Wong and Su Fan to dig up the grave. Both hesitated, fearing divine retribution for such an act, but eventually complied under Guin Feng's authority. Soon, they unearthed a coffin, which Guin Fong leaped into and kicked open, revealing a withered corpse. Shockingly, the corpse's eyes suddenly opened, and it stood up stiffly, appearing to have turned into a zombie. Guin Fong didn't care what the entity had become. He just kicked it, sending it flying away. That's what you get for deceiving me. However, as Su Fan observed the flying Hu Liang, he felt something was amiss, noting that the corpse seemed recently deceased yet had a heavy odor of decay. Although Hu Liang had turned into a zombie, since the transformation was recent and he was not a martial practitioner in life, he was just a low-level zombie, roughly equivalent to the 4th level of the energy-gathering realm, and posed no threat. Su Fan deduced that the entity that deceived Guin Fong was Hu Liang's soul, and the zombie they were now seeing was Hu Liang's reanimated corpse, which lacked intelligence. Hearing this, Guin Fong felt displeased, realizing that they hadn't found the main culprit and their search might have been in vain. Suddenly, a strange purple mist began to emanate from Hu Liang's body, spreading around the graveyard. Innumerable withered hands then emerged from the ground, and a horde of zombies began to attack them. Facing the overwhelming number of zombies, Fatty Wong and Su Fan struggled to cope and thought of retreating. However, Guin Fong was excited and declared there was no need to retreat, as the real show was just beginning. He stood still, allowing the zombies to swarm him. Fatty Wong and Su Fan watched in concern, but the next moment, Guin Fong activated his golden bell shield, repelling the zombies. Yet, Guin Fong found the situation not thrilling enough and decided to test the talismans given by the demon-quelling bureau on the remaining zombies. Guin Fong picked up a talisman and threw it at a zombie. However, the trajectory of the talisman floated in the air for a long time before finally landing on the zombie. The power of the talisman was too weak. A single talisman could only deal with one zombie, which was less effective than fighting by himself. He then tried the brighter fire talismans, which were more scarce and appeared more valuable. As expected, the fire talisman engulfed several zombies in flames, turning them into dark vapors. Fatty Wong and Su Fan were astonished by the power of the fire talisman, but Guin Fong was less satisfied. Meanwhile, a dark figure in a tree behind them was observing and muttered, "Such a strong body, and even mastered golden bell shield and iron cloth robe. His blood quality must be higher than an average true energy realm martial practitioner, perfect for blood god's requirement. No need to lure a mysterious ranked demon exorcist anymore." Then, controlling strands of strange purple mist, the figure directed them towards Guin Fong. Guin Fong instinctively dodged the purple mist, but to his surprise, when it hit the ground, it formed a vortex that started pulling in surrounding body parts. Soon, numerous body parts accumulated into a small mountain and merged into a disgusting monster towering over 10 meters tall. Confronted with a giant monster assembled from countless body parts, Fatty Wong and Su Fan turned pale with fear, but Guin Fong was exhilarated. He was curious about the monster's strength and told Fatty Wong and Su Fan to keep their distance. Then, he threw another bright fire talisman, which pierced through the monster's waist with a loud bang. Guin Fong couldn't help but criticize, "This monster is too weak." However, the monster's waist rapidly regenerated in just a few seconds. Su Fan urgently advised Guin Fong that such aggregate monsters typically have a core, and the core of this zombie-made creature must be its head. Impatient, Guin Fong dismissed the idea of searching for the core. He drew Yama and executed the Burn Bright sword, engulfing the giant monster in flames and reducing it to ashes. Seeing this scene, Su Fan couldn't help but ask, "Lord Gu, are you really only at the 4th level of the energy-gathering realm? Are you truly not a powerful figure hiding your strength to experience life?" Guin Fong casually denied it and continued deeper into the dry bone forest, urging them to follow as they hadn't found the deceiver yet. However, shortly after, Su Fan mysteriously vanished. To understand the nature of their disappearance, Guin Fong decided to use Fatty Wong for an experiment. As expected, when he turned back, Fatty Wong was being dragged into a water sphere, struggling silently. Guin Fong immediately dived into the water sphere and, following a spatial shift, they woke up to the same scene as when they first arrived at Blackwater village. At that moment, the previously vanished Su Fan reappeared. Seeing Su Fan, Fatty Wong became alert and stepped in front of Guin Fong, warning that this person couldn't be the real Su Fan. Upon hearing this, Su Fan also expressed doubts about Fatty Wong's identity, suspecting him to be the demon. As the two argued back and forth without reaching a conclusion, Guin Fong thought of a simple test: have each of them cut him lightly with a knife to see the system's reaction and determine if they were demons. Although Fatty Wong and Su Fan were initially bewildered by this request, they complied, knowing Guin Fong's golden bell shield and iron cloth robe could easily withstand a light touch. After they did so, Guin Fong checked the system panel and found no points were awarded, confirming they were human and not demons. Su Fan, who had arrived earlier, suggests that the situation here is likely the dark domain mentioned in the book, an other dimensional space independent of reality, created by powerful and uniquely talented demons. These demons can resonate with the laws of nature, twisting reality to form their own domains. Guin Fong expressed his confusion, questioning how beings less powerful than grandmasters could resonate with the laws of nature, something even grandmasters cannot do. Su Fan agreed, admitting his own lack of understanding and speculating that the world might favor demons more. He emphasized that to escape a dark domain, they must first understand its rules. Hearing this, Guin Fong instantly became excited. Isn't this just like an escape room game? Moreover, this time the demon is so unique. If he could gain some powerful talent or skill from it, wouldn't that be a huge windfall? So, he immediately rushed towards Blackwater village. Fatty Wong asked Su Fan what they should be wary of, but before Su Fan could advise caution, Guin Fong rushed at Liang and punched him, shattering him like glass. Fatty Wong and Su Fan were astonished to see Liang break apart. Su Fan muttered to himself in disbelief that they were facing a mirror demon thought to have died 200 years ago. Guin Fong, meanwhile, squatted to examine the shattered pieces of Liang, puzzled why he turned into a mirror. Before Su Fan could warn him, Guin Fong picked up a piece and looked into it, only to be sucked into the mirror and vanish. Witnessing this, Su Fan panicked, realizing Guin Fong had been absorbed by the mirror demon, and lamented that after overcoming so many challenges, Guin Fong had fallen into the trap. They were in the mirror demon's dark domain, where looking into a mirror results in being pulled into a mirrored space, where one must defeat a duplicate of oneself to escape. 200 years ago, the blood demon emerged, founding the blood demon sect and gathering demonic beings, with the strongest 7 known as the 7 demon generals, among whom the mirror demon was the 3rd. After hearing this, Fatty Wong asked Su Fan what they should do now and whether Guin Fong had any chance of winning against the mirror demon, given Su Fan's knowledge of it. Su Fan's response was pessimistic, stating it was impossible to win, as the duplicate would always triumph due to its tirelessness, fearlessness, emotionlessness, and absolute rationality, ensuring it would not make mistakes, unlike humans. He recalled a famous quote by the mirror demon from 200 years ago: "The only one who can defeat you is yourself." Since Guin Fong was already absorbed, they should look for a way out, as they would be trapped if Guin Fong died. Meanwhile, inside the mirrored space, Guin Fong was curiously examining his duplicate, noting it looked exactly like him and was equally handsome. This comment, overheard by the duplicate, prompted it to sarcastically ask Guin Fong if he had no shame. Guin Fong was startled, not expecting the duplicate to speak, but reasoned that since it was an independent copy of himself, it would naturally speak. However, he was more concerned about whether the system could be duplicated, and upon learning from the system that it couldn't, he felt confident about the situation, realizing this was a great opportunity to become stronger, and possibly a bug, since the duplicate's strength equaled his. He could continuously grow stronger as they fought each other. Emboldened by this thought, Guin Fong threw a punch at the duplicate, which responded in kind, their fists colliding without any advantage. Neither was injured due to their Vidra body, surprising Guin Fong that the duplicate also possessed this skill. He then drew the Wood King sword and stabbed it into the ground, causing numerous vines to rise and envelop the duplicate, transforming the space into a forest. This move was Wood King sword's special technique. 1,000 trees create a forest. All things become a wilderness, the myriad forms of the universe, still formidable despite the sword's downgraded level. Guin Fong had never used this technique against anyone else before, as no one had pushed him to exert his full strength until now. However, before Guin Fong could rejoice for long, the duplicate, entangled in vines, broke free and executed the Wood King Sword's technique as well. Soon, numerous vines intertwined, making it difficult to distinguish between them, and then they exploded with a loud bang. Guin Fong hadn't expected this demonic entity to replicate even a mysterious rank spirit weapon truly worthy of being one of the 7 demon generals. He then drew his Wood King Sword, using his fire mastery talent to imbue it with Grandmaster level white bone wraith fire, and unleashed the burn bright sword at the duplicate. The duplicate, undeterred, countered with a black sword energy of its own, neutralizing Guin Fong's attack. Guin Fong was surprised that the duplicate also possessed the fire mastery talent. The duplicate then mocked, feeling desperate yet, unexpectedly, Guin Fong simply lay down, urging the duplicate to attack quickly and not waste time. This response left the duplicate bewildered. "You're giving up already. Won't you try again?" Guin Fong thought it futile to continue fighting, preferring to wait and gain strength. The duplicate, unsure of Guin Fong's tactics but confident in their equal power, launched an attack with the Wood King Sword, binding Guin Fong with numerous black vines. It swiftly approached and pummeled Guin Fong, who remained unscathed, prompting him to scold the duplicate for not using the more effective burn bright sword, powered by white bone wraith fire. As the duplicate realized this, a blood shadow suddenly entered its body, altering its aura completely, as if it had transformed into a different entity. Guin Fong instantly understood the true master had arrived and taunted, "I know you're the Mirror Demon, the 3rd of the 7 demon generals." This statement struck a nerve with the Mirror Demon, who, holding Guin Fong's chin, corrected him, "I'm the 2nd. In terms of strength and talent, how could I be inferior to that one? I am indeed the 2nd strongest Underlord Blood Demon." Hearing this, Guin Fong realized there were internal conflicts among the 7 demon generals, and then asked the Mirror Demon about his intentions. The Mirror Demon, planting the Wood King Sword into the ground, straightforwardly proposed that Guin Fong, with his strength comparable to a Grandmaster despite his young age, should submit to him and assist in reviving Lord Blood Demon in exchange for his life. Upon hearing this, Guin Fong suddenly had an epiphany. "So, you killed all the people in Blackwater village and lured the demon exorcist here just to resurrect the Blood Demon? That's right, you're somewhat intelligent. I originally planned to use your blood to sacrifice to the Blood God, but considering your strength, I reluctantly offer to take you into the Blood Demon sect. Are you willing to submit? But haven't you already created a copy of me? Why do you still need me to submit?" It turns out that the copy cannot leave the mirror space. If Guin Fong dies, the copy will die too. Hearing this, Guin Fong burst into laughter. Without asking anything, the Mirror Demon had revealed his entire plan. Was he so eager for others to know he wanted to resurrect the Blood Demon? Indeed, the saying villains die because of their verbosity isn't without reason. The Mirror Demon scoffed. "Is there a need to hide anything from a dead man?" But Guin Fong sighed. "What an idiot. No wonder you're the 3rd one." This remark instantly enraged the Mirror Demon, who unleashed the burn bright sword at Guin Fong. This was exactly what Guin Fong had been waiting for. He had engaged in lengthy conversation just to provoke this attack and test whether it could break the limit of his Vidra body. For this, he had even deliberately turned off his fire mastery talent, allowing the sword to strike him. A loud boom ensued, and the system notified that the host was attacked by the Mirror Demon, adding 1,000 to his defense. Congratulations were in order for breaking the defense limit, evolving the Vidra body into the Vidra indestructible body. Accompanied by the system's prompt, Guin Fong felt himself grow stronger, a thrilling sensation. He continued to provoke, "Hey, number 3, is that all you've got?" Enraged, the Mirror Demon relentlessly executed dozens of burn bright swords, greatly boosting Guin Fong's defense. However, after repeated unsuccessful attacks, the Mirror Demon's stamina started to falter. Trembling, he asked Guin Fong what kind of constitution he had that even Grandmaster level attacks were ineffective against him. Contrary to expectation, Guin Fong angrily retorted, "You are my copy. Don't you know what kind of constitution I have? Didn't you evolve with me?" At these words, the Mirror Demon was taken aback. "Evolve? What evolution?" With this response, Guin Fong instantly understood the weakness of the Mirror Demon. The Mirror Demon's copy was fixed at the moment of entering the mirror space. This meant if he evolved inside the mirror space, the copy wouldn't become stronger. No wonder the Mirror Demon was defeated 200 years ago. Someone must have discovered his secret. With this realization, Guin Fong slowly approached the Mirror Demon, then coldly said, "I'll give you one last chance. If you have any powerful moves, use them now, or you'll lose the opportunity." After speaking, Guin Fong even made a throat-slitting gesture to intimidate the Mirror Demon. The Mirror Demon, frightened by his actions, kept retreating. Seeing this, Guin Fong knew his guess was right. This Mirror Demon was nothing but a one-trick pony. Apart from the ability to copy, while he could replicate others, he couldn't copy Guin Fong's system. The copy had strong physical defense and could control flames. Its strongest move, Burn Bright Sword, reached the Grandmaster level. Thus, against such attacks, the Fire Mastery talent could only mitigate damage, not nullify it. Now that the Vidra body had evolved, Guin Fong wondered if the Burn Bright Sword could still harm harm him. Contemplating whether to entice the mirror demon to strike him and test the limits of his Vidra indestructible body, Guin Fong flashed behind the mirror demon and punched hard on his golden bell shield, shattering it with a crack. The mirror demon, incredulous, exclaimed, "Impossible," before being sent flying by Guin Fong's punch. The more impossible part was yet to come. Guin Fong, with a tap of his foot, pursued the mirror demon in the air and launched over a dozen attacks, rendering the mirror demon defenseless. He finally landed in a large crater, weeping in frustration. "Why is the original so much stronger than the copy?" Guin Fong, stepping on his head, coldly said, "If these are your last words, then goodbye." At this, fear flashed across the mirror demon's face. "Wait, you can't kill me. I am the most favored subordinate of the Blood Demon Lord. I have a mark left by him. If you kill me, the mark will be imprinted on you, and the Blood Demon Lord will never let you off." Upon hearing this, Guin Fong burst into laughter. "Buy one, get one free deal? Then I must kill you." The mirror demon was stunned, realizing the script wasn't going as planned. He then threatened Guin Fong, "Don't be arrogant. The Blood Demon Lord's power is above that of a grandmaster. Killing you would be effortless." To his surprise, Guin Fong seemed even more thrilled. "Above a grandmaster? That's fantastic." This unexpected response completely overwhelmed the mirror demon, who couldn't understand what was happening. Suddenly, Guin Fong grabbed his neck, lifted him, and confirmed, "Are you sure you can leave a mark on me? Don't die without leaving it. Or who do I go to for answers?" The mirror demon's face was filled with disbelief. He hadn't expected Guin Fong to really want to kill him. Had he fallen behind the times? It had only been 200 years. Had the fearsome reputation of the Blood Demon Lord, once enough to make children cry, become so ineffective? Guin Fong then tightened his grip and coldly stated, "I hate being lied to the most. You've deceived me several times using the souls of Blackwater Village's villagers, so you must die." The mirror demon, sweating profusely, hurriedly explained, "I wasn't deceiving you. I just wanted to scare you away, not knowing you'd be so fierce." But Guin Fong, raising his fist in anger, said, "Most importantly, you tricked me out of 2 copper coins." The mirror demon was baffled. "What coins? That's none of my business." Just as Guin Fong was about to strangle him, the mirror demon revealed a sinister smile. "Villains die because they talk too much, but it's not me who will die of it, it's you." As he spoke, his body turned into black smoke and swiftly entered Guin Fong's body, attempting to take over and turn him into a mirror slave. Unfortunately for him, he was facing Guin Fong. A system notification followed. "Host attacked by mirror demon, mirror image clone incubating." Meanwhile, the mirror demon's screams echoed inside Guin Fong's body as he began to disintegrate. Unexpectedly, Guin Fong also mastered the mirror image clone technique, appearing before the mirror demon. As the mirror demon was about to be completely dissolved, he desperately cried out for the blood god to save him. A drop of blood shot out from his body, accompanied by a curse. "Useless creature. The resurrection of the true being is imminent, yet I have to waste power on someone like you. After this, bring 10,000 people to sacrifice to me." This drop of blood turned out to be one of the blood demon's essence blood, and upon encountering Guin Fong's flesh, it became excited, intending to transform Guin Fong's body into its vessel. Instantly, it split into numerous smaller droplets, enveloping the area around Guin Fong. In just a moment, the mirror demon's mirror space turned blood red and began to erode Guin Fong's flesh. The system alerted, "Host attacked by blood god. Bloodline concentration increase, +10, +10, +10. Along with the system's prompts, blood god's screams could be heard as it was gradually disintegrating. Then, the system announced, "Congratulations, host, for acquiring the divine ability, Mirror Image Clone. It allows the creation of a clone identical to the host in appearance and strength, with a duration dependent on the host's cultivation level. Current duration, 1 incense sticks time." Seeing the description of Mirror Image Clone, Guin Fong was thrilled. This was the mirror demon's skill, but without the limitation of the mirror space. Though the duration was short, it wasn't a problem, as it would increase with his cultivation level. The system then chimed in again, "Congratulations, host, your bloodline concentration has reached a critical value. Bloodline awakening is available." Guin Fong mused, "Is my luck that good today? But what is bloodline awakening?" The system explained that this was a necessary path for bloodline awakening. Just then, something seemed to fly out of his body. On closer inspection, it was a remnant soul of the blood demon, which then attacked Guin Fong. The system alerted, "You are attacked by the blood demon's remnant soul. Soul power increase, +100, +100, +100. As the prompt sounded, the remnant soul began to disintegrate and eventually screamed, vanishing within the mirror space. The system then delivered another notification, "Congratulations, host, on multiple breakthroughs of soul power limit. Acquired talents, sharp ears and bright eyes. Never forget what you see. Clear and bright spiritual platform, inner vision, spiritual sense." Even the blood god became Guin Fong's experience for leveling up, and also left behind some fragments of the blood demon's memory. After absorbing these fragments, Guin Fong learned that the blood demon had been besieged by the Righteous Alliance years ago. Although it wasn't completely destroyed, its essence was severely damaged. The essence transformed into 36 drops of blood god, needing blood to restore the essence for resurrection. Each drop of blood god, after absorbing blood and reviving, would reconvene to bring back the blood demon to the world. It was imaginable how many atrocious acts the blood demon sect committed over 200 years to resurrect the blood demon. Although Guin Fong had now merged with one drop of blood god, this didn't hinder the resurrection of the blood demon. It would only weaken its power compared to before. After sorting out these details, Guin Fong began to examine the changes in his body. The system had alerted him that he could undergo a bloodline awakening, but he didn't feel any different, so he immediately asked the system about it. The system replied that the power in the bloodline was inherent to his body and not something provided by the system. Therefore, it couldn't assist him, and he had to awaken it on his own. As for what his ancestral bloodline was, he would find out after the awakening. However, bloodline awakening wasn't suitable to be done in the current location. It was better to wait until returning to the Demon Quelling Bureau. Accepting this response, Guin Fong didn't dwell on it too much and inquired about his other skills. The system promptly provided detailed introductions to several of his newly acquired talents: sharp ears and bright eyes, enhanced perception, improving hearing and vision, never forget what you see, the ability to remember any book he has read, clear and bright spiritual platform, enhanced resistance to illusions and external evil invasions, keeping the mind clear and less likely to lose sanity. It also enhances comprehension and reduces the risk of deviating during cultivation. Inner vision, the ability to see the internal organs, meridians, and elixir field within the body. Although an auxiliary skill, it is extremely effective for cultivation, allowing the clear vision of the meridians and pathways during the circulation of primal energy within the body, reducing the likelihood of entering a wrong path in cultivation. Spiritual sense, a sense independent of the 5 basic senses, capable of foreseeing danger, detecting others' malice, and sensing when being spied upon. Additionally, Guin Fong acquired a skill sponsored by the blood demon, one of the blood demon's 36 techniques, rebirth from a drop of blood. This basic skill of the blood demon's resurrection meant that even if his body was destroyed, as long as a single drop of blood remained, he could be reborn. This skill was practically a lifesaver. The ability to resurrect as long as the essence blood was preserved was like having an extra life. Such a powerful skill was indeed a huge gain. Now, I can go all out against demons. Just then, countless cracks appeared in the space above, and a piece of debris fell down, hitting Guin Fong on the head. He realized that the mirror demon's death had caused the collapse of the mirror space he created. Once the mirror space completely disintegrated, Guin Fong found himself back in the dry bone forest, but Fatty Wong and Su Fan were nowhere to be seen. Just as he was about to call out for them, both fell out of the mirror space. Seeing themselves back in the dry bone forest, Su Fan was incredulous, and Fatty Wong suspected it might be another trick by the mirror demon. Guin Fong approached them and explained, "I killed the mirror demon. His death allowed you to escape from the mirror space." But Fatty Wong and Su Fan, seeing Guin Fong's disheveled appearance, doubted his words. After all, the mirror demon was one of the 7 demon generals, not someone even a grandmaster could easily claim to have killed. To them, Guin Fong's claim seemed either boastful or false. Guin Fong, not wanting to waste words, took off Su Fan's headband, tied it around his head, and suggested, "If you don't believe me, cut me with a knife like last time to see if I'm real." This convinced Fatty Wong and Su Fan to a large extent, as not many would ask others to test their authenticity in such a manner. However, just as they contemplated this, a huge crack appeared in the space above the dark domain, and the entire area began to shake violently. Realizing the dark domain was still collapsing, Su Fan urgently suggested they run. If they didn't leave before the collapse, they would be shredded to pieces by the spatial forces. They hurried towards the village entrance, which was the exit of the dark domain. As the domain collapsed, the exit would surely open, but before they could get far, a group of souls blocked their path. Fatty Wong and Su Fan turned to run, but Guin Fong did the opposite. He shouted for them to go ahead while he covered their retreat. In his mind, he was pleased with his plan. The collapse of the dark domain will cause a spatial breakdown. I'll be subjected to the spatial forces. That's spatial power. By doing this, I can experience the spatial force and also impress Fatty Wong and Su Fan, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm so smart. However, Fatty Wong, not catching the hint, remarked, "Guin Fong, those souls were ordinary people in life. Even as souls, they're not strong. With our speed, they definitely can't catch up. There's no need for a rear guard." Hearing this, Guin Fong was momentarily embarrassed, then turned to Fatty Wong and scolded him, "Why do you have to talk so much? Can't I just want to cover our retreat? Both of you just get lost and don't hinder my performance." Fatty Wong wanted to say something else, but Su Fan quickly covered his mouth and wisely pushed Fatty Wong away, leaving the area. Guin Fong then vented his anger on the souls, blaming them for his embarrassment. He swung his fists at the souls, scattering them with a loud bang. The space above the dark domain finally couldn't bear the strain and began to completely collapse. The spatial cracks spread towards Guin Fong. At this moment, the system announced, "You have been attacked by the mirror demon. Spatial attribute increase, +100, +100, +100. Congratulations, host, on acquiring other dimensional space." As the system prompt ended, Guin Fong opened his eyes and began to review the properties of other dimensional space. It turned out to be a personal space similar to the Dark Domain, also referred to as a mini-world. Its functions included storage, housing living beings, and farming. Its rules were stable and similar to the real world. Moreover, the other dimensional space could cover the entire Blackwater village. In this space, he was the master, capable of keeping demon slaves and making them survive in accordance with the same survival laws as the real world, always ready to obey his commands. Excited by the system's explanation, Guin Fong started fantasizing about some interesting little toys and a beautiful life beckoning him. However, the system interrupted his pleasant daydream, reminding him, "Host, your subordinates are still waiting outside. Shall we leave now?" Guin Fong decided to leave and, as he spoke, a huge portal appeared in front of him. He left through the portal. Meanwhile, Fatty Wong and Su Fan, looking at the gradually closing exit, fell silent. Su Fan thought Guin Fong went to take revenge on the souls, as they had deceived him. Fatty Wong nodded in agreement, pondering how petty Guin Fong could be. Just because he was tricked once, he went all out for revenge. Ever since those three scamps tricked Guin Fong out of a few copper coins, everything had gone haywire. Look at him now, not willing to return, having desecrated graves and destroyed corpses, and now scattering souls to the winds. Unbeknownst to Fatty Wong and Su Fan, Guin Fong had overheard their entire conversation. Angered, Guin Fong drew his Wood King sword and held it to Fatty Wong's neck, abruptly halting their discussion. Fatty Wong quickly changed his tune. Guin Fong, you finally came out safely. I've been praying for your safety all this time. Guin Fong mockingly retorted, get lost. I'm in a good mood today, so I'll take you back to the Demon Quelling Bureau for a reward. Whether I punish you depends on my mood. Soon after, they returned to the Demon Quelling Bureau and reported the incident of defeating the Mirror Demon in Blackwater Village. Fenghua was astonished and looked at the Demon Exorcism Command with disbelief. Fortunately, Guin Fong was prepared and allowed Fenghua to inspect the death aura in the Demon Exorcism Command, something that couldn't be faked. Fenghua placed his hand on his forehead and sternly warned Guin Fong, if I find out you've cheated, you're done. He then began inspecting the death aura in the exorcism token, transporting his consciousness into its space. In the exorcism token space, demon deaths were recorded as light strips. The stronger the demon, the larger and thicker the strip required for recording. Fenghua noticed that although the demons in Guin Feng's token were not of high realm, mostly at the 4th level of energy gathering realm, there were many of them, and there was one almost solidified shadow, indicating Guin Fong had indeed killed the mirror demon. After verifying the authenticity, Fenghua fell into a brief contemplation, considering taking credit for this significant achievement for himself. He then waved his hand, telling Guin Fong and the others to go back and rest. He would keep the exorcism token for the time being and report to the higher-ups for their rewards. Guin Fong thanked him, though he was somewhat puzzled by Fenghua's sudden kindness, suspecting ulterior motives. However, he didn't voice his suspicions and left as per Fenghua's suggestion. After they left, Fenghua could no longer suppress his joy, laughing as he looked at the wall full of exorcism tokens. He pondered where to place Guin Feng's token, thinking of taking all the credit. Suddenly, a voice came from behind. Fenghua, what are you laughing about? Guin Fong peeked in, greeting Fenghua, who turned and replied, how can you eavesdrop on what I'm saying? Guin Fong, you should change this habit, and I'm just happy for you. Your achievements also reflect well on me as your superior. Realizing what was happening, Guin Fong feigned enlightenment. I see. I was scared you were trying to take credit for my achievements. Fenghua felt a bit guilty but maintained a tough front. Do you really think so poorly of your superior? I would never stoop to such petty acts. Besides, the exorcism token with the aura of demon deaths is registered under your name at the Demon Quelling Bureau. Is there anything else you need? If not, you may leave. After sending Guin Fong away, Fenghua looked around the doorway, ensuring no one was around, then shut the door and sighed in relief, unable to resist laughing aloud. The fool actually believed me. The exorcism token might be his, but the aura inside can be transferred using a formation. I just need to find a master of formations to transfer all that aura to my token, and all the credit will be mine. Once I solidify my accomplishments, his low rank and lack of influence won't matter. No one will believe him. My promotion to Earth rank demon exorcist is only a matter of time. However, just as he was reveling in his plans, Guin Feng's head peeked in through the window again. Fenghua, what are you laughing about this time? Fenghua, trying to appear calm, asked Guin Fong what he wanted, panicking inside, unsure if Guin Fong had overheard his scheming. The aura transfer hadn't been completed yet, and he couldn't afford any complications. Guin Fong casually mentioned, I forgot to take my exorcism token. Hearing this, Fenghua became frantic. If you take the token, how can I claim your achievements? This matter involves the 7 demon generals. I need to meet the heaven-ranked demon exorcist, Masterly. With your rank, you can't meet Masterly. But Guin Fong nonchalantly suggested, why don't you accompany me to meet Masterly when the time comes? As he reached for his command, Fenghua grabbed his hand and sternly warned him to leave, saying he needed to report to the Demon Quelling Bureau immediately and couldn't afford any delays. Guin Fong, rubbing his hand, countered, Fenghua, are you sure you won't return my exorcism token? I heard everything you said earlier. earlier, and I hear you're going to be promoted to Earth Rank Demon Exorcist. Congratulations. He Fenghua was shaken by Gu Qingfeng's words, but he quickly dropped the pretense. So what if you heard? With your insignificant status, no one will pay attention to your words. It's wise to recognize the situation. I advise you to just quietly let me have the credit. However, Gu Qingfeng unexpectedly took out a loudspeaker and began to shout, "Someone come quick. He Fenghua is trying to steal my credit." He Fenghua, seeing Gu Qingfeng's intention to let the whole demon quelling bureau know, quickly tried to silence him with a piece of paper, but Gu Qingfeng was determined to continue shouting. He Fenghua had no choice but to return the exorcism token to stop him from making more noise. The transfer of the aura of demon deaths hadn't been completed yet, and if the matter was exposed now, it would be irrefutable evidence against him. Not only would he lose the chance to become an Earth-ranked demon exorcist, but he might also lose his current position. He absolutely couldn't let others get involved. But Gu Qingfeng wasn't ready to let the matter rest and began to extort He Fenghua, demanding 100 taels as hush money. He Fenghua, gritting his teeth in anger, handed over a banknote for 100 taels, but Gu Qingfeng shook his head, indicating he wanted gold. Furious, He Fenghua cursed, 100 taels of gold? Why don't you just rob me? Gu Qingfeng smiled slyly. That's exactly what I'm doing. Which is more important to you, your future or your money? I believe you can make the right choice. Hearing this, He Fenghua's face darkened with rage, and the thought of silencing Gu Qingfeng crossed his mind. He suddenly pulled out a dagger and stabbed viciously at Gu Qingfeng, but he had forgotten that Gu Qingfeng's greatest strength was his external skills. Not only did the dagger fail to penetrate Gu Qingfeng's defenses, but Gu Qingfeng also grabbed He Fenghua's arm, asking if he had made up his mind about the 100 taels of gold. Enraged, He Fenghua reluctantly reached for the gold while asking Gu Qingfeng why he didn't just rob him. The next moment, Gu Qingfeng punched him in the chest and said indifferently, "What do you think I'm doing?" He Fenghua, keep laughing. I won't disturb you anymore. Oh, and be careful with your words next time. I can't guarantee I won't ask for more. He Fenghua was so enraged by Gu Qingfeng's words that he spat out blood and fainted. Looking at He Fenghua passed out on the floor, Gu Qingfeng sighed. This guy can't take a joke. I wonder if I'll end up being known for angering my superiors to death. Oh well, in light of the money, I guess I'll be merciful and save his life. Saying so, Gu Qingfeng took all of He Fenghua's possessions and then shouted loudly, "Someone come quick. He Fenghua has fainted. Help." The next day, the incident was the talk of the Demon Quelling Bureau, people discussing it everywhere. I heard He Fenghua tried to steal Gu Qingfeng's credit and got taught a lesson, they said. Even members of the Dark Bureau had arrived. Listening to the discussions, Gu Qingfeng was curious about the Dark Bureau. Fatty Wang quietly explained that the Demon Quelling Bureau had informants everywhere, with not only overt demon exorcists but also covert agents forming the Dark Bureau. While overt demon exorcists were responsible for slaying demons, the Dark Bureau gathered intelligence and monitored for spies or demon exorcists swayed by demons. Gu Qingfeng likened the Dark Bureau to a disciplinary inspection group. He originally spread the news just to ruin He Fenghua's reputation, but ended up with an unexpected gain. Just then, an old man approached Gu Qingfeng, identifying himself as a member of the Dark Bureau, and said, "Masterly of the heaven-ranked demon exorcists wants to see you. Come with me." Gu Qingfeng cooperated, telling Fatty Wang to call Su Fan, and then followed the old man to meet Masterly. In a dimly lit hall, Li Qianren, sitting at the head, looked gravely at the group. He directly asked Gu Qingfeng, "Do you realize this is a crime of deceiving the emperor?" Gu Qingfeng was puzzled. Why would Masterly say that? Li Qianren continued, "How could the Mirror Demon, one of the 7 demon generals, die at the hands of a mere 4th-level energy-gathering realm martial practitioner? You claim to have defeated him with external skills. But what kind of external skills are so powerful? Several grandmasters who practiced external skills died at the hands of the Mirror Demon 200 years ago. How did you, a yellow-ranked demon exorcist, manage to do it? Please explain so we can learn some life-saving skills." Feeling cornered, Gu Qingfeng nonetheless maintained a composed facade and insisted, "Everything I said is true. I did indeed defeat the Mirror Demon with my external skills." Internally, Gu Qingfeng was planning his next move. Knowing the enemy and knowing yourself ensures victory. Li Qianren then asked them to recount the entire incident. As Gu Qingfeng was about to speak, Li Qianren gestured for Fatty Wang to narrate the events instead. Fatty Wang, though timid, was not stupid. He knew what to say and what not to say to avoid Gu Qingfeng's retribution. He embellished the story, portraying the rash and petty Gu Qingfeng as a hero who outsmarted the 7 demon generals and bravely protected his subordinates. Gu Qingfeng was astounded by Fatty Wang's narration, realizing he was perceived so heroically in his subordinates' eyes. It seemed he had misjudged Fatty Wang, who was actually quite talented. However, 2 Earth-ranked demon exorcists beside Li Qianren raised objections. If it's that easy to win, then what about the grandmasters who practiced external skills and died at the hands of the Mirror Demon 200 years ago? Maybe this is a conspiracy between Gu Qingfeng and the Mirror Demon against our Demon Quelling Bureau, they suggested. Li Qianren agreed, fearing a trick by the Mirror Demon and the Blood Demon sect. He proposed a physical examination to prove Gu Qingfeng's innocence. Li Qianren, concentrating his true energy realm realm power into his fingertips, unexpectedly pressed a finger to Gu Qingfeng's forehead and infused strands of true energy into his body. After carefully sensing, Li Qianren opened his eyes, shocked. He hadn't expected Gu Qingfeng to be practicing so many external skills, making him a genuine talent in that area. After the examination, Li Qianren concluded that Gu Qingfeng's claims were likely true. One of the Earth-ranked demon exorcists stood up, asking how Li Qianren would explain this to their superiors. How could a yellow-ranked demon exorcist do what several grandmasters couldn't? Li Qianren explained that external skills, which focus on the physical body, belong to the bright aspect, while the soul is dark. Since external skills strengthen the body with bright energy, and the mirror demon's domain is dark, there is a conflict between dark and bright. Therefore, the mirror demon couldn't completely replicate Gu Qingfeng's level of external skill proficiency, allowing him to defeat the mirror demon. Gu Qingfeng sighed in relief, thinking to himself that Li Qianren's explanation made sense. He's right. Besides that, I can't think of any other reason. It sounds so serious, I almost believed it myself, he thought. However, one of the Earth-ranked demon exorcists raised another objection, questioning why the grandmasters who practiced external skills couldn't defeat the mirror demon. Upon uttering these words, he immediately received a scolding from Li Qianren. Foolish, you're already a half-step grandmaster, yet you can't even comprehend this. Once you enter the grandmaster realm, you have fierce energy to protect your body. Practicing golden bell shield and iron cloth robe won't enhance your strength. Against a clone, this slight advantage is negligible. The Earth-ranked demon exorcist had an epiphany and thanked Li Qianren for the clarification. Gu Qingfeng gave Li Qianren a thumbs up, internally praising him as a master of logic. Just when the other two Earth-ranked demon exorcists seemed convinced, Li Qianren suddenly suggested that the mirror demon might not have been killed by Gu Qingfeng after all, leaving Gu Qingfeng speechless, wondering if Li Qianren was overthinking things or just playing mind games. Li Qianren continued with his analysis. As far as I know, besides the ability to replicate, the mirror demon also possesses a skill called mirror image invasion. It's like spirit possession, turning someone into a mirror slave. Only a grandmaster can resist this because of their strong soul power. This is why the Demon Quelling Bureau dispatched 10 half-step grandmaster level talents to confront the mirror demon. Now, the Gu Qingfeng standing before us. How can he prove he's not a mirror slave? The atmosphere tensed up instantly. The two Earth-ranked demon exorcists beside Li Qianren readied their weapons, warily eyeing Gu Qingfeng. Gu Qingfeng was confused, unsure of how to explain himself. You're so good at making up stories. Why can't you come up with an explanation for me? He thought, but he couldn't reveal the existence of the system. Facing these grandmaster-level experts, escape was not an option. He had to come up with an explanation, and if that failed, he was prepared to fight to the end. With his numerous skills and soul power on par with a grandmaster, Gu Qingfeng thought of using soul power as his explanation. He earnestly said, Masterly, I don't know what mirror image invasion is, but the mirror demon did launch a strange attack on me just before he died. He possessed my replica, and then turned into a stream of light that entered my body. He tried to kill my soul and take over my body. In self-defense, I inadvertently killed him with my soul power. The female Earth-ranked demon exorcist didn't believe Gu Qingfeng's story and was ready to act, but Li Qianren interrupted her. Whether he's telling the truth or not, I'll find out with a test. Li Qianren then unleashed a powerful surge of soul power and attacked Gu Qingfeng. Gu Qingfeng stood his ground, and his body also erupted with soul power on par with a grandmaster, blocking Li Qianren's attack. The collision of their soul powers instantly filled the entire hall. The weaker Fatty Wong and Su Fan were even blown away by the shockwave. Seeing this, Li Qianren was astonished, unable to believe that Gu Qingfeng, only a 4th-level energy-gathering realm practitioner, had soul power comparable to a grandmaster. What kind of monster is he? Afterward, Li Qianren ceased his aggression, acknowledging, your soul power is not weaker than mine, and your aura is calm and pure, free of any demonic energy. It seems you were telling the truth. The two Earth-ranked demon exorcists were also delighted. Since Gu Qingfeng was not lying, the immense credit could be reported truthfully to the court. The Phoenix Tree County Demon Quelling Bureau could finally hold its head high among its peers. Moreover, they had discovered a talent with soul power far exceeding the average person, a significant gain indeed. Seeing the drastic change in attitudes, Gu Qingfeng couldn't help but internally criticize their fickleness. These old guys change their faces faster than flipping a book, he thought. Li Qianren then announced generously, since everything is confirmed, we shall reward accordingly. Gu Qingfeng, you are promoted 1 rank, awarded 1,000 taels of gold and 1 million merit points. This is your reward from the Demon Quelling Bureau internally. Once reported to the court will grant you additional rewards. At such a young age, you have achieved so much. You are destined for greatness. Gu Qingfeng was ecstatic. This is a real windfall. Merit points were the internal currency of the Great Flame Dynasty Demon Quelling Bureau, accepted in all branches, usually earned through missions and demon slaying. These points could be exchanged for materials at the Demon Quelling Bureau Contribution Hall. They could also be used to obtain items not available for purchase elsewhere. Killing an innate realm demon earned 100,000 merit points, so 1 1 million was equivalent to slaying 10 such demons, highlighting its immense value. However, his joy was briefly interrupted when the female demon exorcist questioned if 1,000,000 merit points were too much for Guin Fong, who was only at the 4th level of the energy-gathering realm. Li Qianren coldly replied, "If you can kill a 7 demon generals level demon, your reward would be even more than Guin Feng's." The woman quickly backed down, and she and another demon exorcist prudently left with Fatty Wang and Su Fan. After their departure, Li Qianren warned Guin Fong, "From today, your name will be known throughout the dynasty, but fame often brings trouble, especially when you're only at the 4th level of the energy-gathering realm. People will envy and resent you, but they won't respect you. Although you possess outstanding physical and soul talents, your energy cultivation talent is lacking, meaning you won't reach the Grandmaster level. Paths like the Way of the Pill, the Way of the Talisman, and the Way of the Formation all require strong soul power, which you have. I've kept you here to ask if you're willing to pursue these paths." Guin Fong, interested, asked which path Li Qianren thought he should choose. Without hesitation, Li Qianren recommended the Way of the Pill. "Though it's the most popular, I'm suggesting the Way of the Pill because I have a task for you. If you can complete it, you'll gain a status and wealth far beyond a Grandmaster, even without reaching that level. Your task is to enter the Jade Dragon secret realm and retrieve the Eternal Youth Pill for the Emperor."